Welcome to Overwatch League Rewind. I'm Matt, Mr. X, joined here by some great people here on my desk. We're going to get into that in a little bit, though. Overwatch League Rewind. It's a show where we take a look back at some of the best matches from last year. We kind of talk over them, have some fun. So this one, as you're surprised, you see him here. It's going to be the Houston Outlaws against the London Spitfire. It's from Stage 2, Week 1. Now I can introduce everybody. I got Jake here to my left. I got Hexagrams here, Monte. Jake, what do you remember about this match, if anything at all?
Not terribly much. I mean, a lot of matches between then and now, if I'm totally honest. But I'm sure once we get watching, it'll kind of jog my memory, and you can relive those moments.
Yeah. And then, Hex, you casted this match.
I did.
So that's why we have you here.
This is the only reason, really.
One of the only reasons. Yeah, I mean, we were calling everybody.
I was the only one in town.
The only one that picked up the phone. No, but seriously, what do you remember about last year, Stage 2 casting this game?
Yeah, it must have been probably the first match that you guys played. It seemed like every first week back from stages, it would be Houston versus London, like the first game you guys played. It was every Saturday morning. I think I casted like every London game last year because I was on Saturday morning, so they always put them on. So a lot of London fans think I don't like London because of that.
Oh, well, I mean, I know someone who really loves the Outlaws. It's Monte.
That's
Monte.
I do.
You brought the official Outlaws historian.
Look, I wish I could rewind time to the Outlaws of last year right now, but, unfortunately, that's not where we're at. So
yeah.
This will be a nice trip down memory lane for me.
It should. It should. We can get into the walkouts and get into this game. We can take a look at how it all started, see what lineups everybody was running. We get some old players that haven't seen in a bit in this one.
I mean, I just missed...
You're not in map.
You're not in map one,
yeah,
sorry.
No. We got the Bonnie and Boink support line, though.
Yeah, this was stage 2, so all the fun walkouts had already been used in stage 1.
Nah, Swoosh, man, from Florida, he was still killing the walkout game.
Well, now you have the Outlaws coach coming up at the end. That's Clockwork there, towards the back of the line. I really thought Clockwork was going to be one of the best Overwatch players on the planet because he was such a TF2 god.
Is it weird that he's like a coach now? Going from player to coach?
I think he's adapted to it incredibly well. Like he's he understands what's useful as a player and what's not useful. Like some coaches have a very bad habit, especially coaches who haven't played.
Is this awkward?
They don't know how to talk to players.
When the camera's on you and we're going through the walkout.
I guess we have fun with this, man. Like it's just like when someone say cameras on you, you just say hello, get comfortable, right? Like you just have to. You're in a kind of a crazy circumstance to be playing video games in front of people, so you might as well embrace it.
Clockwork's not embracing it. Oh, now he is.
Yeah, so now he's just staring right into your soul. You called him out.
He can hear me in the past.
It's time traveling. It's Game of Thrones rules.
Yeah, stage 2 was the one stage last year where we saw a ton of Lucius. Is that why you guys were playing Blink and Bonnie here?
Yeah, I think we were playing like Lucio Mercy.
I think so, yeah. Because I think when you look back at all the stats from last year, all the Lucio playtime is essentially from
I mean, I can never tell, though, because, it could always be an Outlaws roster submission problem when Boink and Sandy are playing together.
It's only map 1, dog.
That's never happened before.
We haven't even gotten through the walkouts.
By the way, this was the match that Xavier Rhodes was at. The WWE. He's sitting right there in the front row. He was one of the guys.
I remember that.
Big Wooyall fan.
Yeah, number 1 Wooyall.
Wooyall fan. He showed up for Wooyall.
Yeah, this is a very different London team than we're used to seeing. There's Wooyalls in, of course, Fury's sitting on the bench right now. And then who else is playing? Hagopin.
Yeah, Hagopin.
Florida main.
Closer's in the game as well.
That's right. Dallas now, so it's only half of London. You guys have a different roster you run now too, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that, the game is, part of it is that the game's constantly changing, right? So the strategic demands of any given team also change. It makes a lot of sense to have a system where, players can go where they're most needed.
Go in and out of the lineup.
Clockwork caught a lot of guff last year for his subpar Tracer play. Flame tried to defend him. He's in on this map, and he's going to play Tracer. I think you come in a little later and play Tracer. What's the thought process behind who's going to play Tracer in any good map? Is it just versatility?
Yeah, most of the time you're thinking, even if you play Tracer, you have to consider, you won't play Tracer into absolutely anything. Like, if they go characters that you don't want to play Tracer against, like they go 2 snipers, you get off Tracer. And on some maps, it's a more relevant threat than others. So if that 2 sniper basically is a relevant threat, then you're probably more likely to have me and Lynx are in, because then we can play Hanzo Widow, and we're much more comfortable on that. But on other maps, it's not such a relevant threat, and maybe Clock for playing Pharah and Soldier might come out. It's more relevant. So even though you're both playing Tracer, you're both ready to go to certain other heroes based on what the enemy might do. And even if we play Tracer the whole match, it still is relevant that I could go Hanzo and feel really confident, or Clock could go Soldier and go.
Oh, we got the Twitch chat up, so if you guys got any questions, I mean, we may look at them. I mean, I don't know.
No promise.
Well, yeah, no problem. I ain't promising nothing.
No promise.
Well, I saw one guy saying that he Clockwork was in for the D-Max.
He's the D-Mac God. D-Mac God Clockwork.
Hey,
Somebody's got to do it, man.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
That character's OP, right? Somebody's got to do it.
I put that all on Flame for even bringing it.
So jokes aside with Benny and Boykin, was this because you guys were on Volskaya and Sombra was so important on point A defense in this meta before?
Oh yeah. So we were playing like single healer strats. Yeah, I can't even remember. It was that far back. I don't even know what patch this is.
It's wild.
Well, this is the patch where you still get alt charge from pack usage, which is why everyone is playing defensive Sombra in this room.
That's a nice boot by the closer there.
This is the patch after the double res, right?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Right after double res.
Double res is only stage 1.
That was.
We will not be reviewing any of those. No.
Why? Oh, bring it back.
And he died, and it doesn't matter. He died, and it doesn't.
Oh man, I wish we could go even further back in time. Get like
I mean, sick if you could get like 7, 8 kills in a fight. It's like, hell yeah, dude, I'm popping off now.
It's like, nah, everybody's back. We need an EMP already. We're like not even like.
I mean,
it's insane.
This is classic. Like, you would like intentionally feed and then run back. Just eat packs. You're like, I'm eating packs, nice.
Yeah. No, it became
We're doing
so much
so
about
great
like
right now. Eat the health pack.
Yeah, it's like trying to bait the other team into doing chip
intentional.
damage so you could get those packs.
Yeah, the intentional feed meta. This is one of the best ones.
I think there's some teams in 2019 still playing that meta.
Yeah. Hey, Shanghai played it all year one. What was did you guys, when you were playing against London, did you understand what they were doing in terms of their subs? Were you guys like, why aren't they playing Fury?
I mean, personally, I've always been just really, really impressed by Fury. I think Weil's also a really strong player, but Fury in particular, I always thought was one of the best players. Like watching the World Cup, for me, he was my MVP. Like, I was like, I couldn't even consider anyone else with how well he played, especially during the finals. So he's a player that I think is just insanely. You don't want to be competing with Fury, let's say, if you're on the bench. So I did always think Fury probably should have played, but I was certainly.
You're not disappointed that he was not in the game.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, as someone on the other team,
yeah.
I don't mind not playing against Fury.
Yeah, you were okay.
EMP's up again because
of course every fight.
EMP's up again. Yeah.
This is I mean, this is a fight where against this comp, like once you get down in ults, it's so easy for them to be in control of the ults because they can initiate with like such efficiency here. They can use one ult, they can just EMP and win, and then you build some other ults. So you're just in the situation where you never have less than 4 ults. Oh, I remember when Sombra had a timer on her invis.
Oh
that was
cool.
Yeah. You actually you couldn't just sit invis for 30 minutes.
You EMP here, and then you basically build up another visor. Like you're right there.
Yeah.
I mean, something, right? Like we have to go so deep here. That's great. They like make us go.
And they're right on the health pack too.
Yeah,
like, you can't even do any. Yeah. Like you have to dive past the health pack that they're all just farming up. Like.
But so my thought is the strategy is on offense against the Sombra that you have to try to take that room. I mean, what are the other options?
I mean, I mean, with what we're playing, it's mostly just about enabling Genji to get dash resets, which pretty much only can happen with his blade. But it's all about really how you use the Dragon Blade. It's like but now we're in such a tough spot because they're just gonna beat the blade, and he's got another
EMP's up again.
So I think we just did not have a good strategy. I think we should have just played a neutral.
No, you actually do break point A here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised honestly. I think they might mess up because I feel like they could just. Yeah, I feel like this is a really hard fight. They EMP us. Maybe we escape the EMP. Oh, maybe we just have enough time to reset.
No, you have enough time to reset.
Okay, this kind of makes sense. Now it's more reasonable that we win this fight.
Yeah. This is an odd question. When you're watching this map, like, are you actually watching or are you warming up right now?
No, I'm definitely watching. I like warm up a little, but like not.
What do you do for warm-ups?
I mean, like, I don't know, I'll play in the training range, but like if I'm not playing, I just watch because it's way more relevant
to watch.
Like it's way more relevant to see what they're doing and to see like are they playing around a player, because these players who are in the game, they will never have the opportunity to watch like while we're playing. Like I have the opportunity to watch from the spectator point of view of what London's doing, and then I come into the game at a later map and can apply that information. Because they're probably gonna they probably have consistent strategies.
Makes sense.
Oh, and the Matrix.
Yeah.
Just barely misses the melee. Nice move.
See, this ends up being very strange because London thinks they can come back into this, and this is something London still hasn't solved in like 2019
yes.
of knowing when to re-engage, because they come back and fight and just feed over so much.
I'd be surprised. I don't think this is extremely unwinnable for them. Like extremely unwinnable.
Well, you should tell them that.
It's always winnable. It's always winnable.
I agree with Hex though. I feel that way even today about London.
Yeah.
It's just like, is the fight lost? Like they never reset properly. I think it's their greatest weakness. weakness as a team.
Ah, they almost went undefeated last day.
It can be. I mean, it can be a strength, right? Like, it's like a mindset, right? Like, and you know that. One of the things is that this can work, right? Like, I think in this case, it's not correct, but in a lot of cases, the enemy will like actually have to use ults to end the fight, or oftentimes, even though you lose the fight, if it's not overtime and you're still wasting time. But the reason it's a mistake here is because OT spawns, and OT spawns are just brutal. If you die in OT on first in this patch, you would just be like 5 or 6 seconds late to the fight. So we were basically forcing their primal, and you can't do anything with it because he doesn't even have 6 teammates.
Sorry, they got another.
We're getting so many ults out of them because of that push, because of the OT spawns.
Yeah,
and use the whole thing.
Self-destruct too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to switch off of Somber here.
Yeah, they have.
London Spitfire hang in there.
That makes sense. I mean, this fight's pretty winnable for us. This is, I would say, a pretty good chance. I mean, we even got past 30. 1-6 not bad either.
But Bastiana out. Why don't we see Bonnie anymore, man? Tell your coaches to put him in. I like Bonnie.
You make a strong case, man.
I played a ton of games in the offseason with Bonnie. He's a cool guy. Put him in.
Yeah,
Bonnie, I'm fighting for you, bub.
Bonnie's definitely a good player, but it's just a question of like whose heroes fit more, and I feel like a lot of Bonnie's best heroes are not really played right now. Yeah.
What do you think are his best heroes?
I mean, Mercy and I mean, he can play the flex supports really well.
He played the flex supports in the World Cup pretty good.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think we've definitely tried him in some rosters. It's not. I don't know what the long-term plan is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I kind of like that as a player. I feel like I don't ever really think about roster stuff because I think it's just important to like respect the coaches and not even have it part of your purview.
That is going to be
the series of moves on that dragon.
That is one of several blades on both sides that just does not go well at all.
I think it's just fragging.
Yeah, you have self-destruct though to clear the point out here though. This is easy. So you're able to take both points there. You the guys had to feel pretty good there, taking both against London.
Yeah, I mean, definitely coming up early in the match is like you really want to. I mean, I would say they have some momentum here. Like I don't think it's strong one way or the other, just because they did do so well on point A. But that's like I'd say it's a good time. You know, you're not mad at that. If you just cap 2 CP, you know, you're feeling good.
I was gonna say,
you can
2
hit a
CP,
defense,
you feel
right?
pretty good.
Or even just defend till overtime on point B. Then you get at least you get a tie on map 1 locked in. You can chance to win. Like that makes a big difference.
You feel good about ties?
I mean, I think the key is how you tie. Actually, the key is how you tie. Because if you tie in a situation that you like should have won, then it's like, oh, it's a bad tie. But if you can like eke out a tie, like you just cap point B in OT and you hold them for 5 minutes on point A, like that is a tie you're proud of, and they're rattled. It's more just about how the flow of the game is than like the points. I think the points don't always tell the full story.
It's interesting watching that back. Do you see anything like that? You know, going into the second half would have been a little bit different.
As far as like changes we'd make, adaptations. I mean, the only thing from my perspective is maybe run the Ana earlier, like get that nano out against what they're running. Like a nano might be really effective. Hard to peel a nano with the comp they're running.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna go to a break. It's gonna be the Outlaws up 2-0. We'll see London's attack after this. Oh, that sign during the break, it was correct. DPS is coming because we're watching a match from last year. This is the London Spitfire against the Houston Outlaws. Right now, the Outlaws sitting up 2-0 going into the half. Gotta feel pretty good going into Volskaya. London will be on the attack, though, and you always got to be scared when the London Spitfire getting on the attack with Prof and Bird during the game.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think they did pretty well on the first half, and I expect them to run a similar composition. So this is definitely going to be a contentious game. That single healer comp, a lot of people even played on offense. It can work. A little harder, I think, because you don't have such good pack control. But
it's wild to think about how different of a hero Summer is now.
Yeah, I mean, she's gone through so much.
She's gone through a lot.
She's been through the wars.
I feel like she's pretty good now, though. Yeah. I feel like almost.
I mean,
definitely better.
She's always been pretty good, except like the very beginning she was pretty weak, but then after like one round of buffs, and then every change since then has been like they're nerfing her somehow, but they're also buffing her. So I think she's just stayed in a strong position.
It was like remember when Ana first came out and like everyone thought she was a little weak, and then like they buffed her a little bit, and then it was like, oh no, she's definitely not weak. I feel like Sombra was always in that same kind of like, she gets a little bit better, she's mega good. Like
the break points.
Power to, I mean, what she does is like ridiculous. Like it's just like the ultimate is beyond control. So if you get the ultimate fast, like it is a way overpowered skill. Like,
I mean, to be fair, teams have gotten a lot better at playing around the EMP, dodging it out, using support ults in order, you know, hiding the Zen.
That happens a couple
it's
times
definitely
actually.
Like the best DPS.
Yeah, it does.
If you could have EMP on every DPS, you would. Like you would like actually play Hanzo with EMP, and you would just be like 10 times better hero.
Imagine Widowmaker
like
with EMP.
what Sombra does is farm EMPs and cast them, and like that's like 90% of her game contribution. But the skill is so powerful that that's like how you're forced to play.
Dude, look at Bonnie. You see, he just jumped from like 40% to an EMP to like
it's
80, and like
they
just
should,
like
what a big mistake from them.
They shot cool, Matt. They shot cool, Matt. What a mistake.
It's like they didn't really push yet. We have EMP. It's like, all right.
We know how powerful EMP is. How important is it that she's just invisible and giving everybody the info they need?
The scouting is pretty huge, but I mean, now on top of the EMP means that you're never quite 100% sure that she's not waiting to EMP, right? So it's just not only does it make her hero strong, but the actual EMP is enabled even further because she doesn't have, there's no downtime.
You know what's wild now? When we were watching the game, I was casting like in the end of stage 2. Is that I believe it was Envy, and he was just throwing the translocator over and over again. You can cancel it mid-air. So like, even if they're trying to hide and avoid the EMP, the translocator just keeps flying over your team's head the whole time, and you're just like, well, if I don't come out and ult, we're all basically dead.
Well,
like,
even here, there started to be mind games, especially on Volskaya, where they decloak and try to bait out the Transcendence beforehand, and then just translocate out. So like the mind games between Zens and Sombras have been going on since Sombra was introduced in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, the character is very mind games heavy. They do a nice movement here to get control of the pack room, which is like our strongest position, and they get killed before we can get our EMP off, which is tough, but Clock only gets the double kill. This is
Bonnie just waiting for that pack.
Not much you can do there. But this is an HO2 CP, right? We can't make even a small mistake here because we're so far from the point.
I mean, they come into this next fight with Visor, both support ults probably. I mean, they're looking pretty good in this next fight.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge if you don't get your EMP off early and decisively is that when you are at 30%, it's a lot harder to like get it early in the fight, and that's when EMP is most effective, is early in the fight. So the enemy commits one ult and you just end their push with an EMP, and then you know it feels so bad to play against because then their Sombra is continuing to shoot, continuing to farm more EMP. So this is a big opening for them, but they don't have like the best offensive potential here. I mean, without Primal is such a good ultimate for them. Not having Primal definitely, even though they have 5 ults, not having Primal makes a big difference.
They're not playing like a Genji for like a Blade, right? Like Tac Visor kind of, unless they get a
nice.
D.
We just Blade to force trans, instantly get out. It's really clean here. Beat to keep the pressure up. They have to beat as well, but the Visor here might be really devastating. We don't have a clean answer for this at all, but luckily we're kiting off point, which is really nice. You have to give them ticks here and try and recontest the Primal and the EMP.
Remember when Overwatch first came out, when you popped Tac Visor, you were able to get like 5 kills. And then now it's
like you got like one baby diva, you're like, heck yes. I'll legitimately pop Visor for baby diva. If the fight's contested, like if I'm actively fighting, it's better than, I mean, if you're shooting tanks, the Visor means you can't headshot, so it's like slows you down, you do less damage. You're like, what's this ultimate on? You do less damage. Shooting a Roadhog, you do so much more damage without Visor on like Roadhog or Zarya, or anyone that you can just headshot.
Profit wanted that D-Max so bad.
So we do actually see a
Sorry, it's a bad
Reaper
example.
coming in right now.
Yeah, the Bird
for
Ring Reaper.
The Bird Ring Reaper coming in second
Is this,
point.
does Reaper have lifesteal right now? I feel like this is a
No,
mistake.
no.
Reaper does not have lifesteal. I don't think
Reaper,
this is a
Reaper
good
does
thing.
not have life.
Does he, though?
It happened like 2 patches ago. I
No,
feel like.
because doesn't he have lifesteal if there's not orbs on the ground?
Well, we wouldn't know if
You
there
don't
were
know.
because
For
he
POV.
hasn't yet. Also, he hasn't killed anybody yet. Nobody's died on the other teams.
I want to say
Yeah.
like they took away orbs and gave him a minimal amount of lifesteal. And then
I would
they
venture to
buffed
say
it every
Reaper
time.
has the lowest win rate in Overwatch League history. I have no idea
Reaper
if that's factually true or I may have just made up a stat.
The
but-
character is just non-functional outside of point-blank range. So you
Why?
can't,
He's
you
so
can't
cool,
do
though.
actually nothing. Now that the TP thing's there, the TP's legit. Like you can TP on the Widow and the TP's a play actually usable. Before the TP was like a big kill me button. It was like, hey, everybody, look, I'm coming to feed. Like,
Look at me.
And it's like the loudest noise of the game too.
yeah, it's like I'm coming in. Like,
His
personal
footsteps
kid.
are like so loud.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people don't think about in Overwatch is like the ways that characters are balanced outside of just their weapons and abilities. You know, the fact that Tracer has such a small hitbox is a really big deal for her, and the fact that, you know, by the same token that Ryan has a huge hitbox makes him so much weaker than he might otherwise.
They're gonna take this.
Yeah, this is looking really good for them. I mean, the Reaper, his one strength on Reaper is this situation. When you're
When they're on the
control of
point,
point and they have to run
when they
back
have to
into you,
recontest, yeah,
that's
yeah.
like the one, that's Reaper's moment to shine, you know? It's like, that's when he's really, you don't regret picking Reaper.
Yeah. When the other team has to just jump, oh yeah, spin.
All right, I mean, you know, I think they probably could have beat us with Soldier, but it worked out.
Oh man.
I mean,
Reaper's
does-
interesting.
He's a little bit scary, right? He keeps your tank from
Keeps you
playing
on
how
your
they wanna
toes.
play,
Keeps
so.
you on your toes.
I think it's just because Blizzard has to have a
There you
hero
go.
that's
This is
spin to
Xavier
win.
Woods.
Popping off.
The Death Blossom is a pretty poor ultimate, I'll say.
I mean, it's most DPS ultimates now are just pretty.
Nah, but
Yeah,
that
but
one's
Death Blossom
that
has
one's
never been good. I mean,
especially true.
Hey,
the one
maybe.
time Death Blossom was good is when Diva Matrix just didn't work on, and it was totally inexplicable. You could put Reaper in the box totally, and it just
But
didn't
to
work.
be fair,
and then
that
they
Babe-
patched the
that
Matrix,
Babe-
and
that
it
Babe
worked. Yeah,
lane
but that was when
setup.
Matrix
Yeah.
just didn't work. Like you would Matrix the Reaper with Nano, and he'd just kill the Diva. Like while she's basically like, well, okay.
That was
But
so
then they
much fun,
patched
though.
Matrix, they made it actually work, and Reaper got destroyed.
I remember when we were at the Elite studio and everyone was talking about how they all we're gonna see all week is like they're gonna nano boost the Reinhardts. I remember like the first like 3 matches Golden Boy and I cast it. It was like there's just like a Bud sitting up in the Raptors on
right.
Reaper, just getting nano boosted, going like 1,000 miles per hour down Kings Road, just like killing everybody.
Well, how
Like,
did you
what,
ever
dude?
defend Hollywood? He just always jumped off a roof and just nanoed
You're
on
just in a tough
everybody.
spot. You're in a tough spot on Hollywood against that patch.
All right,
Just play
London
Reaper of your
So-
own, man.
London on D now.
This is, I mean, back to their comp. This is tough for us, right? Because last time we only broke it because we got a big bank of ultimates. We were patient and we didn't use anything. Even though they were beating us, they still used too many ultimates, and we had that last moment where we were stronger than them to win. But
Yeah, it
with
took 3.5 minutes too.
2 minutes, like we have to create that same. 2 minutes is enough time where you don't have to win the first fight. But I like this comp from us. Playing the Widow, we're just looking for picks here, right? Like, and against their comp, this is what Sombra is not so good at dealing with, is snipers. Because, you know, you just get one shot, so if you uncloak, you try and farm EMP, you put yourself at risk and keep taking those risks. And, you know,
Especially the Widow with the damage boost.
yeah, Lynx are out there, you know, you don't want to be peeking so much. And you can even see how we're playing. Like, we have so much control on the map right now. We're capping point, and they're struggling to even fight too much. Like, I mean, you can just see the influence Lynx is having on this game. He hasn't done any damage yet.
Yeah, there's not really like a great
Everyone's
answer
hiding
for
from
that.
him. You know, this is Overwatch League, right? Like, no one's gonna stand in front of the Widow for too long. But
No. Like nobody's gonna come out and contest the point just to let the Widow just free fire up here. Like,
it's really tough with Mercy on our team for like a Winston to get much done solo. But now this is a big opening for them. Losing our Winston means they're gonna go on our Widow.
yeah.
Ooh, a Night Pack too cancels the grapple even.
And they get the other tank flank too. Like everyone is collapsing on Looser there. There's no getting out.
Yeah, I think we pushed a little too far off point there. We had to. I mean, we had such dominant position with our Widow on high ground. I think we could have just played around that there.
Yeah, you don't really
It
need
was
to
nice
force it
punishment, though.
past the hut here, right?
Yeah,
Just
and
kinda
you could see
play
London. They
hut.
weren't fighting our Widow at all. They're just like zoning her and going for the other fight on the flank, which is the Winston and Tracer. And they're able to punish that really well. So it's good play by them to be, like, even though we're capping, they're still patient.
Yeah, now you're kind of screwed, right? I mean,
We
you
got the
burn-
res. We got the
but,
res.
Yeah, you burn
oh,
res.
Stick. That's.
They have EMP now for the next fight. You
Yeah, but
probably,
EMP, naked EMP is not too bad. They've got, I mean, they've got visor.
but they're
EMP,
gonna
that
have
could be a problem.
They're gonna have sound barrier too. So they'll have sound barrier, visor.
But we're coming up on 6 ults is the reason I think this is pretty winnable.
Oh, yeah.
This is pretty winnable. I mean, 6 ults is a lot more than they've got.
Oh, with Valkyrie? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, especially Valk is an ult where even if they EMP, you can just Valk and like just run away. And like as long as you get the EMP, because I think at this patch you could still fly up while EMP'd. So yeah, when you get the trans up too, and she gets one shot, it's basically the worst case scenario for their EMP.
Get to the point, cool Matt.
Yeah, he doesn't need to rush it though. He's got 5
Get
seconds.
to the point. I've seen this before. All right, he made it.
The Valk here is just, I mean, Valk is a ridiculous ultimate. When you're trying to recontest, you're just pushing into this.
Valk is a ridiculous ultimate. Do you not remember where Mercy could hide around the corner and bring everybody back to life?
Were you just staring at that wall in King's Row and
I remember
progress
playing-
comes up?
I remember like, you'd play like
I mean, all right, I'll just say I like Valkyrie a lot more as an ultimate now that, I mean, without the 2 resist thing,
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty good, I like it as a support ultimate. Overall,
yeah.
I think the transform ultimates are the best ultimates.
You know, it was dope when Valkyrie had the added damage boost from Mercy, so she would just pop Valk and then turn into like just a flying cannon.
Yeah, but
Just,
luckily
like,
that only happened for like a
kill the
week,
team.
and
Yeah.
then they looked at it. They're like, "This shouldn't be happening."
Nah, maybe not. You remember when they had that Bastion update? Bastion was like Soldier 76 on
Yes.
steroids.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the damage
fun
reduction. That was epic.
Well, we actually skipped in Overwatch League the Sombra patch that was hitting contenders. I don't know. I think it was actually during stage 2. Because remember when Sombra was like extra strong, but that patch never got into Owl because by the
I
time it
think
was
that-
the
I think
break.
that-
Oh, I like
Yeah.
complained a lot about it. It was like when the hack would just like, you could just
Instant?
like,
Yeah.
you just hack people, like they could jump around a corner and they just like, I'm still hacked.
you can like hack through the wall.
Yep.
It's almost like how the hook used to
Yeah,
work,
it didn't
where you
break.
Yeah, similar to the hook.
right.
If you could just latch it from a line of sight, even if they break later, they're still getting hacked, and it's really rough to deal with a Sombra that's just standing at a choke holding right click. Oh, you walk in, you get hacked. Oh crap, gotta back out.
Yeah, I
If
like
you have
that
a key
stuff now.
ultimate, they might just push in and kill you.
I miss when I could play Roadhog and just like grab people through walls.
Roadhog meta was a lot of fun for me. I was played only Roadhog back in the day. I enjoyed
like,
that tremendously.
You couldn't
So-
die. You were just like
I mean,
one-shotting
you're pretty
everybody.
weak because you had to stand still to use the heal.
Oh, that's
so,
right.
So on this
Block.
push, they switched to the McCree while they were using the Soldier the first time, and this catches you off guard because Banny basically just eats a flashbang and dies immediately right here. Why do you think like they didn't run this attack on the first one? Because everybody was running the Sombra defense here on A at the time.
I mean, this is smart, honestly, from them because I think the Soldier has better long-term potential with Visor, but McCree I like more as a snowball hero because A, they didn't run it before, so it's like even stronger because it's unexpected, and you can see where he's going. Like he's going opposite his team here. He wants the Sombra to not see him. This is intentional from him. For sure.
Remember when I made up those stats about Reaper? I definitely made them up. So Reaper evidently
Yeah, right
has
there.
the that's a nice pick there from Birdring. He has the 6th highest win rate at GM. Reaper. And then, but in Masters he drops down to 8.
I mean,
So-
any ranked matchmaking is not something you should be thinking about in this game because it's just the game is completely not like different.
What do you
Overwatch
mean?
is a game.
You saying this is a different game than the one that people are playing at home?
Yes. Yes. I mean, not only is it actually a different game than the one they're playing at home, it also, from a gameplay perspective, is
Oh, it's completely different. I mean,
but even from a direct perspective, we're often playing on a different patch. So
like when you play at home, and I'm like, man, I wish I could like have like comps like this.
I don't think I've had a comp without a Torb or Symmetra in the last 35 games I've played.
I mean, you're
Got it.
an iron, so I mean, I believe
That's
you
right.
in
I mean,
iron.
I'm in the paper division, so.
at least we get like 3 DPS ball most of the time in GM. It's nice, top 500. This is a good, I mean, they go back to Reaper. Wow, okay. I actually kind of don't like the McCree. I thought they were going to keep playing McCree on second is why I liked it, potentially, but
Ah,
I
you
guess
always
they
gotta go
get a
back
nice
to the,
distraction.
You gotta go
play.
back to the
It doesn't do
Reaper.
anything, but they get the Genji.
That's my favorite.
Trance the EMP though,
Tracer
it's nice
playing
from
like
Mango.
that.
Trance here is really rough, yeah. I mean, trancing the EMP is really tough for us. It's like our only offensive threat, just gets tranced. And that's when the Reaper is back in his good spot. Blade comes out, but
Back in action.
he's back in action. Like he finally came back.
There it is.
It's like it's been so long, but now he's here, right? You've been waiting. You've been so patient, Reaper, and now you're rewarded with the time to get free kills.
If we
so.
can just walk our Reaper to the point, we're good.
Yeah, as long as, I mean, if you can, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, but
that's a
the pulse
checklist.
bomb was a good distraction, right? Because
Yeah.
the
I mean, it's
flank
good play in general,
actually
yeah.
allowed Reaper to get into position in the end because of the flank.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it's just great play by Tracer. That's what you want to be doing on Tracer. Use your mobility, split the enemy team's focus. You know, make sure that they're not playing as effectively as they could be playing because they're worried about you.
So that's London taking a 1-0 lead. But the real MVP for the Outlaws ain't in the game yet. We can take a look at some of the stats. from Volskaya Industries is take a look at the team head-to-head here. Healing done, London's in front. Damage done, London's in front. The final blows.
I mean, that's a pretty big difference for a map that was actually relatively close.
I think it was mostly the way we won on offense because we snowballed offense. They had such dominant fights early on point A. I mean, it goes to show that even if you're in a pub and you're losing really bad on 2CP, you can. It's a very comeback heavy map type. So if you just bank up those ultimates, you play patient. That last OT fight is actually the easiest fight to win.
Well, the newest changes though on 2CP that are coming up could be interesting too because it should reduce some of that.
Yeah, getting rid. I mean, OT spawns is a mechanic that I have is just a tragic. It's like you did so well on point A. You're such great defenders. You know what we got you? You spawn 5 seconds slower to defend a single point. Like
Doesn't feel great.
It's like point A. It's like wow, you guys took the entire time bank to cap at point A. Well, the enemy team's going to be slow to the defense.
But guys, we're going to go to a quick break. After this, we're going to have map number 2 between the London Spitfire and the Houston Outlaws. Stay tuned.
See that Houston's going to make some changes for this next map, perhaps hoping to bring their heart and soul back into it, some more of their fiery players. We've got Jake going to be coming in, Rockus coming in as well, as we move on to Nepal for a second. When Rockus just got his hair done, it looks amazing. Looking for a bit of that shade of green.
Yeah,
it's
just right
aquatic.
up there. He's still got the swoop though, man. He's still got that swoop. And then of course Jake, he is back.
Bro, you don't age at all.
Curious to see what he'll be running today.
Yeah, in 1 year.
Yeah, you look the
Turns
same.
out you look the same 1 year later in your early 20s.
Did Hex look the
Weird.
same?
21 to
Hex
22,
Hex
yeah.
looked way
Oh,
different.
That's not even me. That's
Yeah,
Bizarro Hex back then.
I like you, Hex, but the beard definitely is good for you.
Thank you.
Same with me though. I look horrible without a beard. I would never get rid of it.
I mean, like with a beard, it's still only like a 7.
I mean, that's your opinion. Sure.
Yeah, true.
That's just
Yeah,
like
word.
your opinion, man.
Encouraging, man.
Nice job, nice job. How much were you paying Hex to say nice things about you before you go?
He knows where his head is.
You know, we keep everybody on the payroll.
Yeah,
You know, smart. I
exactly.
got the long-term strategy in mind.
I mean, yeah, that was that old optic money.
Jake would come to the caster walkout room, just like slide Hex like a few singles.
Yeah, I mean, it does not take
How the
much.
times have changed.
Yeah, man. The good old days, right? Nepal, what are you coming in here to play, you think?
Farah, if I had to guess.
Farah. Junkrat, maybe?
I love me some Farah. Yeah, probably some Junkrat. I think we probably still played Orisa Junkrat on Sanctum. At this point, it's probably the meta here. So.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
We probably made it work, even when it wasn't Sanctum.
So I want to talk about Prophet a little bit because over the course of this series, he plays like a bazillion different heroes. And obviously he was playing a lot of Tracer in the first one, and now Birdwing's playing the Tracer, and he's going to be over on the Genji. How is it as a DPS player playing against Prophet, who's like such a, one of the most, I think, fearsome and most versatile players in the league?
It's interesting because versatility is something that is, I think, the reason that it's not highlighted as much as a key aspect for a player to have. It's kind of one of those underappreciated attributes that, rather than being really good at one thing, is because playing against it doesn't feel so oppressive. It's not like you're like, oh, I can't deal with anything. It's more like he's always going to be on the right hero for the situation, and he's never going to be a weakness because of it. And that has like a big impact.
Yeah, it's like never a throw pick, like if he gets on it. Unless he goes over to Reaper.
Are we gonna see a little more?
Reaper here would be a little question.
Are we gonna see some more Linkster 76 coming into like stage 3 maybe? I mean, he had like a really good map on Busan on 76. One of the few times we've seen it this year.
Don't lead the people on, Hex.
No, he crushed on Busan like not too long ago.
You guys did beat the Titans on that map.
I mean, it's true. Those strategies can work.
You play 3 tanks, you can play 3 supports.
More than a couple times.
Well,
yeah. I missed like 3 blinks into the wall there. That was pretty sad. But at least I got a
You
kill.
got the
Just
kill,
look at the
though.
kill feed. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If the camera wasn't on you, no one would know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I panicked after I got the kill. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to get that kill.
What was that?
I mean, at this point, I think I've been playing Tracer for like a week or 2 of ranked, so I was not the most comfortable on the hero.
I think I say it even during the broadcast because, like, as the set goes on, you actually get better at Tracer throughout the set. Is that like a warm up
this is like
kind of
a
thing?
meaningful practice to me on Tracer. This is like a meaningful segment of my total time playing Tracer. I'm like, oh yeah, I can play that flank. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's like when somebody asks you, like in 10 years, like what was the best moment you had in Overwatch League? You're gonna play them this map on Tracer, and you just pop it off.
I don't know
No,
about that.
probably not.
Tracer's just not a hero I don't like that style of hero as much. I'd rather play like just a different style of hero.
What style of hero is that?
I mean, I just like the characters that kind of have that assassin style. Like, I know Tracer is played that way sometimes, but the assassin style of, I like to be able to, the key thing I want to abuse is one-shotting people. Like, I want to.
So you love Doomfist.
I love one-shot. Every hero that one-shots people or like has a mechanic where doing a certain thing really well, like sneaking up on somebody or getting somebody in the right spot and having your abilities ready at the right time, and you can one-shot them. And like, I think that I enjoy that type of mechanic a lot, actually, just trying to like outplay somebody so that you can trap them into a situation.
Like Brink.
Or just trap them into a trap.
But you were telling me last year when the Hanzo patch came out that Hanzo was like the most OP hero ever, and you were like just giddy with how great Hanzo was.
They nerfed him into the ground before Overwatch League. He was like right at the start when that patch came out. He was back with the arrows. The storm arrows did like one tap people if you got damage boost. You could like kill the entire team with just a storm arrow. It's like, what? If the mercy's on you.
That's why it was so funny. People are like, "Thank God Scatter's gone," and I'm like, "But wait, Scatter was better."
And another thing you have to remember back then, though, is that also you could damage boost Dragon, so Dragon and Grab was like a guaranteed wipe.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Pulse bomb on Chicago.
Got a stick.
Hey, who's the observer? Get over to Jake.
All right, we're getting the flank on Gesture. Muma's pinning him in. His Primal's running out. He's back in our spawn. He doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, this is not ideal positioning.
I think of anyone who likes the 3-3 meta, it's got to be the observers the most, because this is just chaos. And you have no idea who to follow and what's going on. But 3-3, you're just like, oh, put me in the sky. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I do think though that like one of the things that got a lot better was use of the free cam here over time, and like I think on a lot of the fights, even on this map with more free cam, I think you would have caught quite a bit.
Right.
I mean, I think free cam in general is like the best way to like. First person cams are, you have to like be careful with that because a lot of times as a pro you're like spinning and running. Like for instance on Soldier, if someone jumps on you and you need to dodge the Widow, you like sprint and move your mouse left and right really fast. So it's not something you really want to be. It's like I don't really look at the screen when I'm doing that, so I don't think anybody else wants to.
I just want to see first person Widowmaker all day.
Yeah, I mean first person Widowmaker is, I'll say Widowmaker is an exception where I think there's like Widowmaker and Farah I think are just so much fun to watch because Farah's like she's in the sky, she sees everything. She's just a great cam to to watch. She's always an important part of her team. Usually has a mercy pocket, so the action will be around the Pharah.
It's like a free cam that shoots rockets.
Exactly. And you get to watch air shots from a free cam. Beautiful.
So Lynx replaced the Pharah here. You're still on Tracer.
Yeah, I think we would have done this. We would do this a different way nowadays.
Yes,
Like he would play Tracer and I would play Pharah probably.
I was gonna say you guys
This was
changed it up.
really early on, so I think I mean, this is just
messing
really
around.
early on. Yeah, I think, and probably also because it was like me and Clock switching off on Tracer, so Lynxer was just used to not playing any Tracer and playing like all of the other heroes.
Because it's not like you can't play 76 if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, I think. I mean, they're not playing Pharah, so actually, I think this is fine. I think the only hard thing on Pharah is if you're not as experienced is the dueling, but playing like this, like Lynxer's a smart player, right? So he's playing in position. He's like not putting himself at risk. It means we can put more resources to our team. I think we overextended a little bit into the house trying to get killed.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to question. Does Muma go too far there? Because you have them boxed in with this Pharah, then everyone kind of goes a little deep and you start losing people.
Well, the other thing is like they had to stay in that box because Wu Hyul was demeched. So like you could have just basically just kept them in there forever if you hadn't rushed them.
We should have definitely played to just cap there with the DMAC and just. I mean, I think DMAC is one of those tough. That's what makes D.Va so strong is that it's like backing off also has a cost because likely their D.Va will remake. So you're probably worried in the situation where like she's gonna remake. We have to push to like get the finish, but it ended up not working. Like,
I mean, the thing is, she was like only at 40% of the mech when that fight started, and she couldn't even get shots off because she was getting zoned into that building.
Yeah,
You have no clue.
But if we go back and we cap point, she'll come out and she'll finish charging her mech because she'll just come out and start pistoling us if we're not. The only reason she's back is because she's pressured. But once like we're just capping point, she'll come pistol our tanks and get mech. So we'll probably cap, but they'll get a real fight. So we probably think maybe we can just end the fight right now so that they don't even get a chance to refight. But if we just cap, we'll get the cap, but they will be able to remech and fight before we can.
How long do you feel good about staying on Pharah here for?
I think it's fine because they're not like they don't have A, they just use visor, so they don't have it, and B, they don't have like Ana is a scare hero that you're really scared of on Pharah, and so is Mercy.
I love
and in Primal Rage.
But I mean, this is fine. Like I don't think there's. I mean, now it might make more sense to switch, but they use a lot of ults. I don't think there's anything wrong with running Pharah here.
Yeah, I always find. Oh, we're switching off.
Yeah, I mean, I get when we're not playing Mercy anymore. So after mid, and this is when it definitely makes sense to swap.
Yes.
But I think with Barrage, it's like if they don't primal there, then he could kill him with Barrage. So he kind of forces the ult because he's still on fire.
Because it wasn't like Birdring was even really pressuring him a ton. Like he wasn't really.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jester used the whole primal for the Pharah because it's still value even though the Pharah didn't get much done. That was a fast death. Well, that's something you don't have primal.
It's kind of a theme of this entire set that if Gesture dies early, then London's not going to win the fight.
I mean, that's nature of Winston to some extent, right? Like if your Winston doesn't get value off their jump and they're not actually an effective distraction because they die too quickly, then you're at a very significant disadvantage because the enemy Winston you can bet is distracting your DPS, so they're not firing at full efficiency.
I have a theory that if we go back to like DPS metas after like 3-3 for so long, we're just going to see tanks died at an enormously high rate because they're used to just insane amounts of heal right now, so they can just be in constantly. But if you look back at like this meta, there's just not enough healing for the tanks to be as aggressive as they are now.
You can just play ball and you just can live. Like Wrecking Ball is just so much mobility, and then with the shields the way it works now.
Yeah,
like,
I think most heroes should be able to get to 1200 HP.
True.
Exciting.
It's a nice
Oh, look at that. Oh, no.
Should have recalled. Better player would.
Is that one of those moments where like you hit the button and it just didn't go through?
No, it doesn't happen on land.
That's true.
It's my fault. I mean, it might have happened but I was just too late. Like you have more time on land, slightly, but at least it's like fair on land. I think like if you miss it on land, it's your fault.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about playing Tracer at this level?
Not dying because everyone hits all their shots.
Yeah, true.
So like if you fight somebody, sometimes they just hit all headshots even though you're playing Tracer.
You're just insta-dead.
So you just die. Well, you get like, I mean, it's part of the Tracer is like taking risks because like sometimes you have to like stand in front of the McCree and just dodge while like shooting him, and he can just headshot you if he hits the headshot. But sometimes it's like deciding what's the good risk. This is probably last fight where you're running out of time. You go Doom because you're not going to even get the fight. And Doom has the fastest roll out of all DPS, so it makes a lot of sense.
This is when Doom had the you could go further with the seismic slam, right? So you could
you could go further with the slam. The bigger
out.
difference though is that the uppercut actually locked you into movement. Like when you uppercut somebody, they were not able to move until they hit the ground or not able to control their own movement. So the uppercut meant basically guaranteed headshots for anybody around.
The stuff you could do on Anubis with Doomfist, like get on top of the left statue
I
at the
love
beginning,
that.
and then
Oh,
make it all the way to the back platform,
that
like,
was
and just like,
fantastic. Challenge the
best was
Widow back.
on Rialto when you just uppercut Azaria off the bridge, and there's like 5 seconds where she's just like looking around in the air, like, oh no, she's like, there's nothing she can do.
That's like
Absolutely nobody can save her.
The panic bubble comes out.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
this will
pop bubble.
help. Yeah.
what's the most fun hero for you? When you're like rolling and like dumpstering another team, who's the most fun hero to do that?
I mean,
Is it-
it's got to be Doomfist or Junkrat. Those are the two that really are. I mean, Junkrat is just like it feels like you're just killing everybody when you're getting a lot of kills. You're just doing so much damage in the team fight. But Doomfist, you're just flying around. Like, and if you just keep getting enough HP and they can't quite take you down, you just feel like a god. You can fight 1v6.
Speaking of Junkrat,
Here
it gets
we
played
go.
here because it's stairs and Sanctum.
Yeah.
So, like, you're known as probably the most iconic Junkrat anyway. What's a mistake that people who play Junkrat maybe do too often, or what's a tip you could give people who aren't as prolific as on Junkrat as you are?
I mean, I think Junkrat is a character where it's very, very important to be positioned preemptively because you lose almost you lose fair fights. Like, you just don't win against other DPS characters in a fair fight. So the way you beat them is by bursting them down, or by taking very small engagements where you just peek them for like 1 second and try and kill them and then run away. And when people chase you, that's when you have an advantage on Junkrat. So trying to goad people into chasing you is definitely what you want to do.
Or just chase them down.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, where we got the
Yeah.
call out on him, right? He's kind of trapped in there by the rest of my team, so I'm not afraid to push. I should have waited for my second conch to jump up there, but I jumped up there and then I had no conch, so I couldn't kill the soldier. I want to jump up, but hopefully I should wait for
Monty, do you know how tall Junkrat is?
How tall is Junkrat?
Junkrat's 6'5".
Is he?
Yeah, he's actually the fourth
Fourth
tallest
tallest.
hero. Would you believe
He's
that?
6'5".
Yeah, I looked it up.
Like I said, he's just got that smartphone posture, man. He's
Yeah,
hunched
yeah,
over.
He's
he's
hunched
hunched.
over a little bit. Yeah.
He's got that mad scientist.
He's
thing
tall,
going on.
though.
I mean, he's got a peg legs. You got to cut him some slack. I mean,
True.
it's no
No, I
modern
think it's just-
prosthetic, man. That's a
think it's
piece of
just-
wood.
It's more of
You see him hobbling out there?
Oh, here we
Put
go.
the best effort out.
Remember
coming out.
when London just refused to play Junkrat for like
Yes.
when Junkrat was super strong,
Yes.
and then eventually they gave it.
Well, I mean, I think their comp was just terrible against what you guys were running. It's like,
Well, yeah, they're on a-
realistically, they were never going to break your bunker.
oh,
That's a nice pipe from Prophet.
Yeah.
He's pre-spamming it.
Prophet's so good.
It's good
But
work.
everyone was trying that tire though. So like this was like week 2 of everyone trying to put that tire on the outside. So it wasn't really surprising
It
at
was
all.
too obvious. I should have just waited 10 seconds. Sometimes the best thing you can do with tire is just sit in a corner for 10 seconds, and like that's so much cap time for your team. If they just have to hide and wait the tire to push them, and it's 10 actual seconds, that's one of the longest ultimates in the game.
Mutual avoidance.
Yeah, the double classic gameplay right there. Both
the
of us
Aretha
pulling each
life.
other off. Neither of them have halt. They probably both used halt, and they both went for the kill, even though they didn't have halt. That's just what aggressive players do. And then they you know,
Sometimes you get got.
hey, they both got each other.
Sometimes you get got.
It's like a trap frag. Nice trap by Prophet.
Time for London. They can come in here. They're gonna
Wow, I love trap frags. It's like my favorite thing on Junkrat. Just try when you left the perfect trap and then like the Zen walks into it, but not the tanks, just the Zen because it's in the right spot. It feels good.
Oh,
Oh, nice visor. Good attempt to kill Baby, but then
yeah.
see, like that's what I'm talking about using visor for Baby. If he gets the kill on Diva there, it's
And she has
so
a remake,
worth
that's
it.
huge, yeah, I mean.
Incredibly worth it, but didn't end up working this time. Prophet rolls me on the flank, 1v1. I got mano y mano dominated. Well, I can't win them all.
They flip. See, you guys said they have supercharger rat coming in. Oh, you're gonna get a tire.
We
right?
got our supercharger first. Is the big
Yeah.
deal. Supercharger is so huge here. Even if we get it 2 seconds before them, we might actually just win the
I think
fight.
it's still like I remember last year it was like the ultimate that had like the highest.
I mean, that
hit
ultimate
rate.
is
So
insane.
high,
It's
like-
also one of the most expensive ultimates in the game. That's a huge grip by
Oh,
That Willio didn't even have fly, so the grip actually killed him. But they break our drums, which is actually a really big deal. They break our war drums. Our war drums. That's what they are. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest. Oh, it's probably killed me, but I had my revenge, sir. I had my revenge from the grave.
and they
Classic.
can't get on the
London
point.
C9.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty tough situation. When Arista's standing on point and you run into contest, like you just die. So a lot of times in a chaotic situation, if you know that you have no hope of winning the fight, like you might know that if you're down 2 or 3, that standing on point there's no point. Like you just will lose if you don't get a kill. So as like the DPS player in that situation, you just choose to go for the kill instead of the point, because you guys have to hope that one of your teammates can go point, because you know that if your kill doesn't come through, it's actually absolutely over. There's no chance. So you go for the kill because you play to win, you know. And there's no point in, the call over, right? You don't get an extra point because you got more time.
Oh yeah, we see there's a dude is at the Jake Little side. So something we don't get to experience. What's it like going in at the halftime? Like, what's the talk? Like, what's the vibe like in the locker room after a 1-1 half?
I mean, 1-1 is, especially when you win the second map, I would say this is still a very tense game, though, because it's, even the scoreline, like, even if things had gone the other way and they had come back there, we would still feel like it was a close match, even if we're down 0-2, because both of the maps have been close.
Well, it's also context, too. So this was the first map London had played since they won stage 1. So, like, you're probably feeling pretty good that you're playing them so close right now.
Yeah, that's true. We knew that it would be a tough matchup. So on top of that, like, because we knew there would be a tough matchup, that even being even, or even if we were a little behind, it wouldn't fluster us because it's within expectations.
Does
right?
any of that
That'd be
notion
tough.
of revenge come in, too? Because they just booted you out of stage 1 playoffs.
I guess. I mean, I don't think about stuff like that, I guess, too much. I think it's like, it's just a distraction, right? Because this is just one game, right? And our results here is, like, even though we're prepping for this match, it's like, this match is, we're prepping for it with the knowledge that there's another match that week. So our preparations are like, maybe we've spent half of the prep time for the match prepping for London and the other half on the other team. So when we play London, we're thinking about London, but, just like we're thinking about the next week's matches. And so, like, they're just like one factor that you're considering. But it's not, for me at least, it doesn't, like the narratives, like the long-term narratives, I don't think about that too much. I think it's better to just be in the moment. Like, what's this patch? Don't worry about how they did against us before. What's this patch, this matchup here? I think that's what you should focus on.
Yeah, you guys are able to tie it up here against the London Spitfire. 1-1. We'll be back with map number 3 right after this break. Welcome back to Overwatch League Rewind. Mr. X here. Got Jake, got Monte and Hex, but we don't need to show them right now. We're about to go into map number 3 between London and the Houston Outlaws. Map 3, Kings Row. How'd you feel going into Kings Row?
Well, I mean, Spree's row, right? So I mean, I think
Spree's
we're
row.
feeling pretty good. We're feeling pretty good. I have to guess. I think we're playing Spree here. Maybe we're not.
You play Spree here.
I think we are.
Yeah, do you feel like this is one of your stronger maps?
Yeah, I think at this stage, this is something that we were quite comfortable on. A lot of the strategies were our wheelhouse.
Yeah, let's jump into King's Row.
It'd be awesome if London ends up being very good at this map, considering it'd be a home map. Kings Row in foggy London town here. Kings Row is one of the best maps in the game, always has been in my opinion, and it's not very divisive. Whenever you boot this up on ladder, no one's like, oh, it's Kings Row. It's like, oh, it's Kings Row.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Not a bad word to say about it.
I'm glad we got into stage 2 because I'm a big fan of Kings.
I love Assault. Liar.
Hey, man,
You don't play Overwatch.
No, I actually love Assault.
You do not
Because you don't play.
You like Assault. You're not a player.
when that Q pops and it's King's Row, it's a special feeling.
That's true.
You're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I
Personally,
stand by.
I'm looking for Lijiang and Nepal. That's like my.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart. I love
big
control
win.
maps.
I want to play COD.
Yeah,
all
but
day.
Kings has always been like the map. I guarantee if you ran a poll on any of the subreddits, everyone would say like Kings Row #1 because it just feels fair. It feels fair for offense.
So you guys do put Spree in. Spree, King's Row specialist, Zarya specialist.
Widow, that seems unlikely.
No, so he has a decent map here, but I think I remember because we talked him up so big as like this Zarya specialist. The first time he came in for you guys, I think he beefed 2 grabs, and like we're just backpedaling. I'm like, I know Spree's better than this, but I think it was like the first time he'd played all year, so I just give him a pass on that one.
Well, I also think it's just a nerve issue being on the stage. It's very different to play on the stage. Especially, I mean, how did you feel coming into this as like a new player in terms of the big stage and that kind of environment? Throw you off at first?
Personally, actually, I always really liked it. I think like even from when I started playing esports, I reveled in the feeling of like more people watching like the bigger stage.
Are you one of the players like
Hypes you up.
when I was a player, like I just could never
Scatter.
I could never take like I mean I'm sure you guys have to take scrim seriously, but like I just never I never could as a player just because there's nobody watching. Like there was no like prize pool on the line. Like it's just way different playing in an actual.
It is. It is.
Like-
I think it's important as a player to like, as a pro, to like simulate what it, you know, just to put yourself in the mindset of a pro match because, like, if you
can't read
win all the time in practice and you like practice how you want to win and you practice playing really well, then like guess what, match time you're gonna play better. I mean, it's not possible to be 100%, but like bringing that percent as close as you can to 100 is what I think like it takes to be the best player.
When you guys first started playing, I mean, was everyone very confident? Because nearly every player on this Outlaws team had a great deal of success in lower circuit NA. You with LG Evil, of course, FNRG FE is a big part of this team, and they also had a great deal of success. Did you guys think you were just gonna, start out 7-3, which you did in stage 1?
I mean, I think we knew always that stage 1 was like really lucky for us in the sense that it was just a meta that really was like we're basically all playing one of our best heroes. Like every single player on the team was able to play their if not their best hero, but one of their best heroes certainly. So I think it's something that we knew that other patterns would be harder for us because we kind of walked in something like.
Is that the one that you feel like probably the worst about, like letting it get away? Is that stage 1? Like you realistically think you guys could have won this stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually there were some like crucial mistakes that I made and like even Icon where I think we could have won Icon on like that playoffs and then easily won the map there because we full held them on second.
Yeah.
And then we definitely were. I remember, as I recall, we were like going to Junkertown. At that time, we like never ever lost Junkertown in any scrims, so we felt like, and I felt like it was actually just my mistake at the end of Icon that cost us the map.
This is a very fast push that's occurring right now.
Yeah, we're dominating right now, but they went Genji Tracer after playing not Genji Tracer, which means they didn't have ults, and then they tried to like fighting without ults on this comp is just so difficult to do. Like a high energy, we had energy from the last fight, so we're just so strong. We're like riding the snowball.
Just farming Fury when he comes
and it's just
in.
for Spree, it's like they can't go on Spree. He's like a non-target because he's not using his self bubble. So now that he uses it, you'll see he instantly backs up because he could be a target.
Scatter around the
but
corner.
Still, like they lose one, right? So Spree's doing a great job here of putting himself out there, and like he knows that the enemy team really just can't choose him as a target unless he either drops low or uses self bubble. And if those things don't happen, he's going to stay in there, stay aggressive 24/7. It makes it really hard for Dive to work. That's part of why Kings Row is such a hard map for Dive, is that
he's going to scatter this.
Oh, he gets the finish anyway.
I'm just reveling in the time that Zarya was a specialty pick.
No, I like Zarya.
But this used to be like her only map. This is like the only Rhine Zarya map that you ran it consistently on.
Yeah, really, yeah, one of the only ones.
Yeah.
Right. We're getting close to the end of this. You guys are crushing it. Just a little grab dragon here, nobody in the grab.
Oh, there was a self-destruct map in the grab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Spree's just doing so much in the front here. It's like, I
Tired,
think they just
well.
make kind of a poor composition decision here against us because the Zarya is just so enabled against this comp. It's so difficult for them to answer. We just have, me and Lynx are just sitting way far back.
Oh, look at you talking some ish.
Talking a little smack.
Yeah, look at Muma's bringing the pain.
Look, you got to get psyched up. I mean, you're playing video games in front of 100,000 people. I mean,
Does Raucus know
That's
you guys
not
won?
They haven't won yet.
Well, I'm saying just like
so it's good to have mixed personalities on the team so that you don't get too crazy, get carried away, and mess up, make dumb mistakes, and throw the match. You'd regret that. So you want to focus on the game plan.
I would like to see you guys all go crazy. Now you guys are talking all serious and
Rox
stuff.
is like, focus up.
So-
Don't
Focus
throw
up,
this.
guys.
Don't
Focus
throw
up.
this. You see Moon's making fun of him. I'm pretty sure Moon's making fun of him.
We were talking to Captain Planet, our stats guy, before the match, and that time was actually the fastest Kings Row time ever up until the Titans beat it this season. So you guys held on to that record for
And we
like
had a couple
year.
records actually. We had a record on Nabani that I think someone beat this season on Goats.
Everybody's
I
crushing
think
records
Goats is
this
gonna
season.
roll records. Yeah,
Yeah.
because crazy stuff happens with this
Oh,
guy.
sorry.
wait.
Shock beat the Numani one. He's
Yeah,
calling
Shock
it.
beat the Nabani and yeah, I didn't even know we had.
I mean,
the
we
kit.
got Zarya's pin up like 50k damage in the series.
Yeah, right.
like maps, like it's just been crazy. But when you steamroll through a team like that in the first half, you guys like what's the comms like? Obviously, like is everyone trying to like come down off of that like high, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, you want to come down, you want to ride it. I think for us, from I guess my perspective now, looking at it, is that it looks like they just didn't make the right composition decisions. They picked the wrong heroes against us. So I think one thing that's important now is to not get overhyped on that, because we did beat them, but I think they just made the wrong choices strategically. So that gave us the reason we beat them so dominantly, and that won't necessarily happen again. So you got to stay on our toes, right? Still respect them, treat them as a good team. Like, know that we still have to keep playing our best to actually get the win.
So you think it was just their compositional choices there?
For the most part, I mean, we played well, but it seemed like they just had no like real fights. Then when you roll like that, it's because the enemy team just can't really formulate a real defense.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's the first half of Kings Row. The Outlaws crushed London. Back with London attack after this.
Offensively from London, Farah, Widow. Defensively, you can see a little bit of Moira here and Jake Rat.
gone along with my hopes. These aren't fake tears, Hex. For a second there, I thought dreams were about to come true for all the sim lanes out there, but not meant to be. Moma just toying with you. Now that we have Birdring here with this Widow, we'll see that closed angle kind of
Zarya, because we're worried about dive,
Outlaws.
then we need a Moira because our Ryan's going to be so pressured without a Zarya that
Was this
they'll
one of the
need like
maps,
max
Is
heals.
this one of the maps that teams would play like that Slambulance comp on? Remember, it was like 4 tanks
Yes.
with the Moira.
With the Moira,
Lucio.
yeah.
Yeah, we want to be like ready for that comp and also ready for dive. So this is the compromise we have. So this is the nature of first point. You have to defend with a compromise. You can't run, the ideal counter, right? That's what they get on the offense is the ideal counter. So this is what they feel is.
It's one of the things I like about Overwatch, though, because it does have an attacker bias a lot of the times on these maps.
Well, it has attacker bias when there's a different composition that you can choose.
Yeah.
That would counter it. Or you can't just play exactly.
I just like the ability for the attackers to run back in and scout comps and then go in, because I think it creates in my opinion, it creates more exciting Overwatch when you actually do have a slight attacker advantage and both teams have a chance to at least fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was more exciting Overwatch when there was more heroes being used. No, honestly, as a caster, overall, I found it more engaging.
I mean, but
and,
I think
harder to do.
You're both saying the same thing because without having heroes that counter one another, there's no reason to go back to spawn and switch. So there's no.
To be fair, even this year we've seen a lot of going back to spawn and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're going to switch from Ryan to Winston.
Yes.
It's been smaller wrinkles, but in this kind of meta where they're coming out in this, you could do all the prep in the world of London always runs Pharah on first point, and then they come out with something different, and then as a caster you're so engaged of okay, well why are they doing this?
I love the mind games.
Yeah, trying to figure out why a team is doing what they're doing, and you were just so much more engaged.
I love that. I also do love watching Zarya just dunk on whole teams.
Yeah.
Being 100 charge
I'm a fan of
the
the one Zen volley winning the whole match.
That's
classic
going great. Dude,
My favorite thing about Semler now is whenever he gets a Chengdu match, he sounds like a man who's been lost in the desert for 3 weeks and has just found a pool of water, and he's just so ecstatic.
It's gonna be so tragic for him though. When we get a Chengdu match and then they just play 3-3, it's just gonna break his will.
I love Semler's just the genuine excitement of just
He likes people shooting people in the head. I mean, he comes from a game where people did that a lot.
yeah.
They're snowballing us back here. I mean, they got 5 balls. They better win this fight. If they don't win this fight, we're in a really good spot. It's not the way I would have taken it.
Is Rocket Barrage the flying Death Blossom?
I mean, more or less, right? It's just, I always got it. Some ults are kill me buttons. It's hey, everybody, kill me. I can't move anymore.
My favorite part I think about Rocket Barrage, where I think it's actually funnier than the Death Blossom, is that a lot of the times the Rocket Barrage you end up just killing yourself with it.
Instantly.
like a Winston puts a bubble over you and you just have no choice.
It's also got a way better.
Blow yourself up.
It's a way better ragdoll too. She usually just flies into the skybox.
Flying.
Yeah, Reaper just sort of falls over, but that's just normally what Reaper does.
Poor Reaper.
That's his greatest strength, falling over.
And we've been tough on Reaper.
Reaper's not in a good spot, man. Even with the TP, I don't think anything can play him.
Isn't Spirit still running Reaper?
Yeah, I mean, that guy,
I think
so.
you underestimate
some Reaper
Surefour's
one tricks.
ability to play Reaper in all situations. So
Long range bomb.
I think
think
next
it's-
week Gladiators play Vancouver, last game of the week. Should be a good one.
I bet we'll see some Reaper.
Valiant
That's very optimistic.
Los Angeles teams are really holding on to that Reaper this year.
Oh, Muma with the tech. Look at that extra jump over the building.
Surfing. Surf's up, man.
Primal's such a fun ultimate to watch.
It is.
Just
and
like the
it's
movement,
almost
like-
like watching people in the Overwatch League do it. It's oh, I want to do that.
Looks so easy.
But it is so hard to use that ultimate. I think it's probably the highest skill ceiling ultimate in the game. I don't think the next one's close. I can't think of any ultimate in the game that's even close to as complicated and difficult to use as Primal.
Deadeye.
It is
I wish
difficult
there
to
were
get
more
a single
ultimates.
kill.
I think all the ultimates that make you transform, so that's Dragon Blade and Primal, and even Bastion's tank, I think those are the best designed ultimates in the game. Because you get to play the character just in a unique and different way.
Well, it's just the small things at Primal, right? When you're when you're jumping and hitting the S key, so you don't go super far, right? And you're just kind of landing in front and then just tossing them up, the ability to displace people into self-destructs and other ultimates as well. It's just so many uses for Primal.
It is always so funny when people think that Winston's not a mechanically demanding hero.
Yeah, I mean, with Winston without Primal isn't too mechanically demanding, to be honest, but when you start factoring in that Primal Rage, things get extremely, extremely interesting. There's a few really high-level micro plays you can make, like dropping your bubble so that splits the Zen's trance and he doesn't heal anybody, but stuff like that only happens, you know, pretty rarely, and oftentimes it's pretty hard to see.
Mechanically, probably the hardest.
You got to do the
would
butt
be-
jump, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, not right now. I mean,
No, because there's no widows anymore.
Yeah. Probably Wrecking Ball, like right now, just in terms of.
So close, man.
I think that gets eaten, right?
Yeah, okay.
I got eaten.
Fury.
Yeah, we don't have it in the UI. in
That's
this
Fury,
season.
man. God, stop it, Fury. Let me stick your Zen.
I mean, it's Fury. What do you expect?
Of course he's gonna eat
Yeah.
the pulse bomb.
Dude, he's.
I didn't want to blink because I wanted to do it without blinking so that he wouldn't hear me blink and wouldn't eat the pulse bomb because he heard the blink, but he was just looking.
Fury's the best Matrix eater in the league, I think.
Yeah,
Did you ever,
This is insane, dude. I mean, I've always said he's like one of the best players we've ever seen play. Oh, I'm out of blinks.
You played him for a long time, too, 'cause he was back on Liquid, like, Carbon series days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you know, like everyone improves and as the game goes on, so it's just really been great to see him do so well as time goes on.
You guys gonna get a hold here? Look at this. Oh, no,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
guys-
the soldier I think is just so good here. It's so hard for the Genji to do much here. We have two defensive ults with the Lucio and the Zen, so it's hard for him to find an opening to use Dragon Blade. But this might be it. We've lost both tanks.
They have trance and barrier too, in case things get silly.
But you see, the thing is for us here, we don't need to win this fight. We don't
No,
care about this point at
you
all.
play the
So
long
like,
game, right?
you don't use Dragon Blade, okay, we won't use Trance. And like here, as long as we get OT, we'll have 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So honestly, here, I think I should have gone May and ran the cart 2 times.
And you know with a
Guaranteed
minute,
ourselves a-
and you know with a minute and 30, you can play close, get one fight. They use a bunch of ultimates, and then
Look
you
what
have
I'm doing right now. You see what
fight on the card. Yeah, just
blinking
get on the
card
card.
solo,
Yeah, just get on
and
the
I'm
card.
recalling out, just wasting time. Look at us waste time. I think at this point we definitely realize it. You can watch what we're playing.
You, like,
We're not
juggle a
attempting to
card.
win a fight here.
Yeah.
So you talk about playing May. I actually think that this is one of the most underutilized things that pro teams do right now is realizing in this situation that you should be playing for that OT and then just playing pure stall for like an entire point. I don't think enough teams do that
The problem is
actively.
you don't
even
tap.
today.
You don't. It's like you can't do it if you're attacking and you haven't defended yet. Because then it's really bad. So it only happens if you played if you already played one side of the map.
Sure.
So
No, I'm just saying in this situation, even today in the Overwatch League, as players and teams have gotten
people
more
don't
knowledgeable,
think about
people still don't, in the moment, make the decision to play Mega Stall, which I think has been very impactful, especially this season.
Yeah, I think what you can do though is like instead of switching to playstyle, you just keep playing what you've been playing to accrue more ultimates, right? And then you can keep juggling the point between like Winston, Diva, Tracer in this case, like Lucio as well. Like they can all just get on the point for a little bit, be slippery, then get out.
No,
just
I
keep
think
alternating.
I definitely can do it. I just think it could be more impactful. If teams
with,
were
like,
better
May,
about
yeah.
swapping
I mean,
lanes.
the thing about not going May though is that like to Mr. X's point is that if you don't switch to these like silly heroes that realistically you can't win fights on, then the enemy starts to get like really cocky and they start to just run at you because your comp is terrible and they're just gonna kill you. So they don't actually let you stall as efficiently as when you play a regular comp that they're like actually scared you might kill them with. That puts them in a position where like then they can't just like freely chase you into spawn. If you go May, Hammond, you go like these crazy heroes and it's clear that you're just coming to the car, they're gonna like start diving you in the spawn really aggressively. Whereas if you're playing a good comp, they can't do that without risking the game.
But they also have to recognize that as fast as, you know what I mean? Like that requires them to make a specific shot call in order to do that.
Yeah.
So,
But if you're playing like May, Reaper, and Hammond, like that doesn't take a genius to go dive to support.
No. But there is a difference between like going full in that direction as opposed to pulling out.
May
Full
is, an
clown
extreme,
fiesta.
May is just an extreme tell. Like if you go May, it's like they're definitely looking at. If you start going May and running to car, like it's.
And it's kind of a
We
balance.
do not
right?
intend to win.
Yeah.
We are intending to.
It's playing
It looks
to not.
barely clear. Like anyone's seen it, right? Like the May jumping on car, it looks like a stall play.
It's playing to not lose rather than playing to win.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this circumstance, right? Like your odds of winning a 433 to get 1 tick are like way better than your odds of actually holding there. So
Yeah, like you'll take that.
that's the reason strategically it makes sense.
I mean, considering how hard you dunked on them.
Yeah, right. And it also is something that would get worse and worse. Like if you only had a minute on the clock, you maybe wouldn't want to play that way because you wouldn't feel so confident about actually winning with 1 minute on offense.
Linkser without his glasses.
Yeah.
How bad?
I think
How
he's
bad
wearing
can?
contacts or something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I actually don't know. I assume.
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah, you're right. You'd hope
You'd
you
hope
do.
Wasn't Linkster the one who just got his prescription?
Yeah, after like.
Yeah, he didn't know.
He didn't know that he'd been.
That was
years
Spree.
Oh, it was Spree.
Yeah,
okay.
I think a few of our players just got glasses.
You guys are practicing
Makes you
hard.
think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I got contacts in. It's no joke. If I take my contacts out, I couldn't even tell you who's here with me. You guys would all just look like blobs. 4:33.
Oh yeah, bringing out the road guy.
Oh, yeah,
Love
there it is.
Roadhog. My favorite character to this day. Wow.
He's so
Yeah, to
beefy.
this day. He's just
Really?
great. It's just so satisfying to like
To get a hook on something.
land a hook. Like they're just sitting there with their team, acting all friendly. You know, they're just hanging out. They think it's cool. And you just say, no, come over here, join me in my team.
I just love as well, like when you know you've hooked somebody, you know the person on the other end of the hook is just, they're helpless.
You've got them. Like they have
They're,
that little moment. That's what I
like-
love is the moment when they know that they're beat.
And their
There's
team
nothing-
is just
they're not
watching
over
them
yet.
just be hooked into you and they know they're going to die.
That's a scatter. Well, I guess he did
dang.
12 to him, so he just got burned. But this is so rough for them. I mean, they have no choice but to play a comp like this, like a comp that can snowball really hard. But we can play a comp like we just counterpick them. They have to hold for 430.
Yeah, and like with the hog, you can just take so much real estate on the point. Like, what do they do, right?
Hog is so good in this game
Yeah.
because like all I need is one pick. It's like a sniper that you can't counter kill easily.
He's like a 600 HP sniper. Is this one he couldn't vape moving in this, or
No, you can.
he
I
could-
think you're still healing from moving. I don't think that was ever
Yeah.
in Overwatch League.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm still.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't want to heal there. I think I was probably waiting to charge.
Easy.
Healing.
You guys just rolled them.
Well, I mean, yeah, that first offense really set the stage, right? Because it gave us the strategic opening to play for stall on defense,
I wanted you to say
which worked really well for us. But
I wanted you to say something like, "Yeah, we just outskilled them." Or like, "We're just so much better."
I don't
You
think
gave me such a nice answer.
Is it always difficult to play against London because you never know when they're just going to turn it on and be like good London?
They always destroy them.
I mean, I don't. Think
I know you
they're-
guys always have, but like
I don't-
I'm saying London as a team has got to be weird.
I really don't think it's like a question of teams playing bad. Like I don't think there's been a very small number of times where I feel like enemy teams made like really grievous errors on in the
Look at
Overwatch
that.
League. Almost always it's like a small thing. Like maybe they played the wrong, like they probably hadn't seen our Junkrat Hanzo thing on offense. They probably never played against that before, and they just didn't really know the comp to play against it.
You
So
guys
I feel like it's not. It's like the reason they played so bad in that, or it looked like they played
Yeah.
so bad, is just because they hadn't seen the strategy before, and they probably actually had to talk about it and formulate a plan. So our cheese like worked really well, but I don't think that means
Yeah,
that
you
they
guys-
like played bad.
Yes, that attack time, pretty strong compared to theirs.
That'll work.
You guys win the 3 team fights after the first death, which is probably the biggest difference in the whole map when you look at everything. I mean, everything's pretty similar across the board. It's just those fights. How do you turn a fight like that when you have one man down? Doesn't it all just kind of depend on ultimates and positioning and where you are on the map?
To some extent, I think a lot of it can also be, depends on the character you're playing, right? So if you've got like a pick-heavy hero, like you've got Hanzo's and even Ana to some extent, even Junkrat, all these heroes are relatively dormant until they make a big play. So even though your teammate might be dying, you might be getting a free flank because that's happening. And those are just the type of hero to just blow someone up from 100 to 0 instantly if their play is successful. So from that perspective, if you're playing some of these comeback heroes, it's not so surprising to come back playing
Yeah.
Hanzo and Junkrat. Whereas if you're playing like a dive comp, coming back is so much more difficult because once you're down, things start to snowball. It's kind of like coming back and go. It's still really, really rough.
Tough. But guys, that's going to be the Outlaws up 2-1 here against the London Spitfire. We're going to be right back with map 4 after this.
So we have Cool Matt, who is back in for Spree, so just keep that in mind. The Zarya specialist not going to be present here for the last map in this series, the one where all of the fight is going to have to be shown here from London Spitfire to stop Houston Outlaws from taking it 3-1. It will be Route 66. Yes, we're getting it all today, Hex. I love it, man.
I love new map pools. Get your kicks here on Route 66. Now, you mentioned that we are taking Spree out. Cool Matt's going to come in.
A little does similar know. Every map matters.
Every
And
map
we
matters
have
in
the
the Overwatch
potential
League.
for a tie here.
It might not be the last map.
It may not be the last map in this series.
I mean, given Houston's general
yes.
record on Route 66.
Can we talk about
Yeah,
you
what-
guys
what-
at Route
yeah,
66
what's up with
for a
that?
moment? Because like you guys didn't take a point on Route 66 for like all of most of last year, I believe.
Yeah, we were really bad at this map.
Why?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I mean, if I knew, we probably wouldn't have been so bad at it.
Valid point. That's a valid
That's the
point.
right answer, I think, right there.
Phenomenal answer.
Do you know of Route 66 as an actual road? Have you ever driven on Route 66?
Yeah, I know what Route 66 is in the real world.
Do you know where it ends?
Yeah.
These guys, they like that.
Santa Monica
smart.
Pier.
Yeah,
Like that.
the Santa Monica Pier.
I don't know.
I don't really Google trivia questions in my spare time. So.
Yeah, neither do I.
You've not been to the Santa Monica Pier?
Yeah, but I had no idea how I got there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's signs all over that says
I didn't-
it's the
yeah.
end of Route 66. Did you look around?
Yeah, I didn't like buy an atlas.
I made sure to take selfies with all the signs.
What happened?
At Route 66.
Matt doesn't know how he got here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I went to the beach, man.
Yeah.
What you talking about? I went to the beach with my friends.
Hey, I got Waze, Apple Maps. I know how to get places.
Easy.
You guys out here talking about the streets and stuff? I just go. It's just me and the road.
Okay.
So there's a game going on. Thank God.
What? Oh yeah, Route 66, right.
this was
the
a-
final map.
It's another Sombra map.
very
Or Sombra
privileged.
points.
Yeah.
Sombra points,
Yeah.
I'd say.
He takes away that first tunnel map pack just so that the offense can't have it.
This
and
time they're playing.
play by the rules.
They're playing the two
Yeah, they're
supports
not
with
playing-
some of the. Yeah.
This map's a lot harder to play one healer on just because of like there's not as great positions. Nice patience here.
So
for
Prophet
the
has to play another hero as a result
Yeah, exactly.
in this series.
Where are the squishies? Show me the squishies.
But nope, not a problem for Prophet.
We're all asking where the squishies are right now. Linkster isn't the only one because I will definitely.
Is there one player that you go up against, or even this year, like somebody new in the league that, like, cause like when we watch from these perspectives, right? We see Prophet doing all this stuff. Like it looks sick. Like obviously, I'm sure it's very difficult to deal with. Is there a player that like you don't think gets enough love that is like so talented?
As far as like new players, the one I keep coming back to is Happy. I think he's like,
Yeah.
especially on Widow. I mean, he hasn't been able to play too much Widow. Oh, Matt with a brutal body block there. Absolutely done. Oh, both tanks, Matt doing it to him.
He's popping off.
this
He's
is
just
just
double
funny,
body
too.
block. Oh, and just the crushing frag.
But yes,
Nice.
continue to tell us about
But,
Happy because I've been very.
Yeah,
high
so
on
I
him.
think Happy's one of the like. I think he might be like the best Widow in the league. I think he's like that. Like he's like seriously in contention with anybody who played really well last season. So I'll definitely playing against him in ranked and in matches is pretty rough. He hits a lot of headshots that you don't think he's gonna hit.
What I was always so impressed with Happy is just his target acquisition, is that he goes from one person to another so quickly on Widow. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to see it much.
He's just snapping, dude.
Yeah.
We did see some of it on Busan from him though, but like I've only seen him play some Widow like before the season started. I was watching some scrims at the Guangzhou house, and like some of his kiting on Widow was absolutely unreal in
You
those
guys use
scrims.
this after using walls,
Probably do.
Valk, bomb. Oh, nice chance there.
Yeah, it was sick.
Gets it just in time.
Yeah.
Barely building it.
Uh-oh.
But the
Fury
bomb's
bomb?
gonna get links here at least. Bird ring's low.
Get him!
Lucio on my face.
Ah, you don't
Is
care
that
about the
recall?
Lucio. Look at you.
Recall. Throw the stick in there. Get out of here.
Nice.
Like I said, man, like the Tracer gets better and better every map you play in this series. Or maybe the camera's just
I
sounding more. I
misspoke,
don't
by the
know.
way. It was second point that you guys never took on Route 66.
Yeah, we
Never
just saw
got
them.
2 points for like the entire season.
Monte
You
missing a
just
trivia
spoiled
question.
it. Because they just got the first
You know, I'm
point.
so good at my Outlaws slamming trivia, and I messed that one up. I'm sorry.
So Monte actually watches this particular match every night before he goes to bed. So that's
I
why,
watch all your Route 66.
Yeah, so that's
show
why we
last year.
decided to select this match, because this is one he always goes back to.
Get that straight, but also
He's like, man, I remember that stage 2 match against London. Thanksgiving, they throw this one on the TV.
Bolts into the Transcendence hole and stays alive.
Yeah, Linkster had a really quiet series. He didn't have like giant moments. He plays fine, but it's not like I'm used to watching Linkster sort of take over maps.
Yeah,
on
but he's
Widow
got like
sometimes.
gesture in his face the
Yeah.
whole time, like profits coming at him on like a billion different heroes. Like, what is he supposed to do? Like, look at this. He's just getting,
Yeah, like Widow by its nature is such a streaky hero. It's just
Yeah.
like what's gonna happen. So I don't think there's much that can be done about that.
you know, I almost feel like your best case if you're a Widow is that the other team actually runs the Widow. So at least you have like
Have, like, an easy
a
target.
straight battle, right? And then
Yeah,
it's like they're
yeah,
not,
one-on-one.
yeah, they're not like diving you from 8 different locations. Like,
Just jumping at Widow. Yeah, Widow
Yeah.
definitely has a tough time in this game.
Like,
I hate Infrasight though. I just wish Infrasight wasn't in the game. I think it's so annoying. Just have to hide for 15 seconds. Like,
They literally took what is illegal in other games and put it as an
I mean,
event.
like, I guess I understand, like, in theory, but then it's also like, why doesn't Widowmaker just become, like, super strong with her ult?
which is
Like,
funny because like I bet you if you ask like a lot of the players who just play on live, they would just be like, oh, like Infrasight, like who cares? Like I just
We don't
No,
think
no,
about
it's,
it like
it's
that,
only
but-
strong in the pro level. It's just the
Yeah, that's
problem
what I'm
is
saying.
like it's basically just free time off the clock.
yeah.
Yeah, because no one fights it because it's
Yeah.
strong, but like it's also hard to actually capitalize on it because obviously you don't know exactly what's going
No,
on
it's
until you
just,
pop
it's just
it.
like a stall button.
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I think though every Widowmaker though in the back of their head, like I know at least I do. When the other Widow pops in for side, I use mine right away and I go challenge that. Like, why not? Because I just believe I'm so much more mechanically skilled than my opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just gonna walk around the corner and click his head before he clicks yours.
Yeah,
Hope for
exactly.
the best. Hope he's not behind a shield. Hope he's not.
Just aim better. Just aim better. Yeah, I mean, nah, yeah. The worst feeling is when,
You peek and shoot right in her head.
and then you
Sitting
see
behind
like
her
the
rest of
Matrix
shield.
like come out. You're just like,
Remember that shout last.
go away.
Divas makes you sad, honestly. Playing DPS heroes.
Now, what it looks like, obviously I win all of my battles when I use that, but
Of course.
Just feeding the people lies.
So talking about Diva,
Yeah.
have you noticed a big change now
the
that you're
Diva?
scrimming
Yeah.
with the defense matrix being shorter? In length, not in duration?
It's not. That's not the patch.
This is on the patch you're on right now.
No,
That's the upcoming
that's not.
one. Oh, I got
that's
too
not for the
excited.
stage. I want to play with that.
Visor?
Have you
Excited
wait,
for Diva nerfs. Don't get me wrong.
do you think that's going to be really impactful though if it goes through on
Yeah,
live?
actually, I think it's a major thing because if you watch most Diva players play, the way they use Matrix, they like sweep with it because it's about the time, right? So if you sweep your mouse, you cover so much more 3D space. You eat way more projectiles, even ones you didn't mean to eat. And you just sweep with the Matrix all the time. So by reducing the range, you've actually cut that like 3D space the Diva is sweeping by a really huge percentage, actually. So I don't know the math on that, but it's really significant.
Every negated ultimate in the Overwatch League is on purpose. None of them are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of that though. Like, I mean, like it is luck, I guess, when you like think that there's Zarya looks like she wants to grab right now,
Yeah.
and then you press Matrix. Like you can't react to like seeing the grab come out of her gun when it's gonna hit the ground in a quarter of a second. It's just about understanding when their Zarya wants to grab. So I think it's pretty rare for it to actually happen like totally on accident. It's more like their Diva's like, I suspect that he wants to grab right now. That's
It's playing odds, right? The odds
yeah.
is
But it's a mark of the player who gets it all the time is like
you guys are
really
in trouble.
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty unlikely they're just lucky. Like
Well, Fury baits people into doing it.
I mean, that's-
like
that's
he
what
shows
everyone
you his
wants to do,
Matrix,
right?
and then he's like, "Nah, I still have a little bit left."
Yeah.
Like that.
Like that. Feels bad. I like that I was behind him. He just eats it anyway.
Just
I-
360s.
That's all right, dude.
When Fury was doing that, I felt really bad for Baby Bay in that match because a lot of people were saying like, "Oh man, like look how bad he is with these grabs." But that
Bro.
Fury was debuting like that new
Come
Diva
on,
tech
yeah.
that match that
Like-
no one
Where
had
he's
seen
doing a
before.
180.
And so I think that would have happened to any Zarya they played against.
I casted that one, and I remember like with like the third grab, I just like looked out on the stage, and like everyone in Atlanta was just laughing. Like, come on, man! Like he's just playing another game out there.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta respect it to some extent. Like, he's eating all the grabs. Like, so it's just Zarya is like about taking risks, right? And Fury's great at avoiding getting pressured, so he doesn't have to put his Matrix up in the first place, and you can't ever feel safe to grab.
How do you guys feel here, knowing you're obviously not great at Rit 66? Does this kind of feel like, sometimes like you go into a second half of a game and it almost feels like already a loss? Like, are you trying to like tell everybody, like give them confidence going into this second half?
I think what's most important is just suppressing your feelings and not allowing your emotions to get the best of you, because your feelings have no bearing on whether you win or lose the match.
That's deep.
Full holding
My
point A.
therapist would argue with you
That's
so
deep.
much.
Full holding point A determines whether you win or lose the match. So like, yeah, things might have gone bad, but you should worry about if they went bad, like how did they go bad?
Well, this
you
was-
need to deal with their comp in a new way. Is their strategy beating us?
This
Or-
is also a point in time where you could full hold because of the Sombra on Route 66. We actually saw it happen a lot.
I mean, you can always full hold, right? Like getting to halfway through point B is like, this is winnable, you know? It's hard, but especially right here, this is a decent spot to hold, is like right here at the end. So even if they cap A, we're not done for. It's pretty winnable moves.
Yeah, what's the deal with movement in the sim pick?
You know, he always tries to. We just shut him down. You know, we're kind of merciless.
I think the best is remember
go.
when you guys played? Remember when you guys played like a solo? The solo. It wasn't even a solo tank. Like, you basically, I think it was you who played Brig on Gibraltar.
Or no, it was my
Solo
strategy
Brig.
where we had Muma play solo Brig, so we
Yeah,
played two
Muma
sniper.
played
That was
solo
I made
Brig,
that
double
strategy up.
sniper.
That's my strat. I made it up. It was OP actually.
Oh,
We
it's
didn't need
awesome.
Winston. We realized I was like, wait, what if we just play? Brig was like really. That was like right when she came out. She was really strong.
She's pretty good.
Just like how she is now, but she also kills half the heroes in the game 1v1.
Yeah.
Which she still kind of
Yeah,
does.
now
but
it's only-
now she killed them a lot faster. you hit somebody 2 times with the flail, then they're at risk for getting stun killed.
The worst is like you're 1v1ing her with
So
a
you guys
tank,
play,
and she walks away with full health.
Yeah, I mean, like back then it was like you hit one left click, bash, left click,
Yeah, it was
whip,
pretty-
it's a kill. So it's like you just can't come near her. You get left click one time, you might die.
Now, you guys play the solo support here.
Yeah, and you play it with the Lucio too, which means like you're super reliant on that hacked health pack for any kind of heal.
Yeah, there's 2 megas at least on this point. So this is a hard situation to play it, but I think we probably go for it because we were like basically taking a risk for the full hold. Because if we can get EMP and we can start snowballing our ults, this is like one of the best comps to full hold with. So
Is it just the map thing? Because map 1, you guys had Bonnie and Boykin for Bonnie to play Sombra, and then he played some of the Flex.
I don't know
But now you
if
have
Sombra was our
options.
main strat on this map. I think we might not have run this
Kind of
comp if we had
audible to
capped.
it.
Like if we had full capped the map and we were less dedicated to full holding. In this
Right.
position, we know how important it is that we full hold. So we're really, it's like it's less of a priority. Yeah, just taking it. It's worth.
But yeah, they don't win fights without gesture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just killing Winston is like really good because if him farming primal is like the most like that's how you lose, right? Like is like the Winston jumps in,
Lives forever.
he lives forever, farms primal, and just turn like primal is something that we'll really struggle to deal with because we got no Zen, we have no mercy, we have no way of amplifying our damage. So how do we kill 1,000 HP? That's looking rough. So killing Winston over and over again before he gets ult is our game
Well,
plan.
and now, like, almost like bringing the McCree in creates space for this Winston, right? Because you can't go in as easy.
Yeah, it's a great
Either
pick. I
can
mean, McCree just
Rocket,
threads
like,
every
yeah.
character. Like, really, no one can stand up 1v1 to McCree. Widowmaker, at least you can, like, kind of annoy her and poke at her. As long as you just kind of trick her, you'll be fine. But, oh, thank gosh.
So what do you think about the upcoming McCree changes then as well?
The fast
on
firing rate?
PTR?
I mean, that sounds cool. I'm down with DPS buffs. Maybe we might actually be able to play them again.
Bring back the rat.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem for all those heroes, though, is just that, like, you're just playing a less efficient game.
So let's pretend the meta doesn't exist. If you could play any hero next stage, like consistently, who's your favorite hero to play right now?
I like Roadhog a lot. I mean, I always liked Roadhog. I think Hanzo and Roadhog are probably some of my favorites.
Both of them excellent, no doubt.
Even
To be
over-
realistic, probably Pharah and Hanzo is a much
Yeah.
more realistic combo.
To kill the
I feel like Hog is always like in that. I feel like Hog was obviously really strong with the one shot, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like he needed to be because he was such an ultimate battery charge for the other team.
Exactly.
That like now if you're not able to get those like really crazy like picks, that he's just essentially just like a walking
Oh,
ultimate.
it's so
for the
tragic on
opponent.
ladder to watch like your hog player in death just taking a breather between 5 people. You're like, dude, why?
Yeah, just let it end, you know, don't
He's just
use
like
the heal.
he's just like circling around the cart aimlessly, like
Farm
with
me,
absolutely
farm
no,
me.
yeah, with no objective
So
in
if anyone
mind.
not have ultimate on
Just-
the enemy team, come to me.
yeah, just to like live as long
Your
as
savior is
possible.
here. I'm Roadhog. I guess the other reason we play this comp here is that we can transition it to second without changing anything. Even though they have McCree, I still think it's winnable for us. Like, McCree might not get kills, or like we might be able to kill their backline before they kill ours. 1K.
That's like
Yeah.
risky though too, like when you're batting around a dead-eyeing McCree, because sometimes I've seen him get like popped up into a position where he actually is able to do something.
Another rock.
So that's just kind of up to the Winston, though. The Winston has to like corner him rather than sending
yeah.
him to an open area.
It's
but
so crazy.
Winston does so much DPS in that form.
It's so crazy how obviously like last year I feel like you saw a lot of different compositions, right? And I think this year, although you do see like goats most of the time, just how many many different heroes, different like roles need to play, right? Like now, like DPS players need to be able to play like at least Zarya, right? And then like now you have like also like flex supports who have to play like main supports. Like there's so much more like versatility needed from everybody now.
Yeah, I mean, or you just don't put anybody. You put all your tank players and support players in.
Yeah, I mean, or that, right? But I mean, then you have no flexibility if you wanted to change something else.
Yeah, that's
Cool,
true.
man.
It's definitely better to have it.
Yeah, Cool Man gets hit with the. Yeah, he had nowhere to go. He gets hit with a pulse bomb.
There's no bodies on the point.
Gesture gonna have another primal here.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Nah.
McCree's just too good here. Don't really have an answer for McCree strategically.
Yeah, the McCree pick was really good there from Birdring, especially when you guys only had the solo support. But we had some stats. Gesture versus Muma. Like
13-2 final blows.
yeah, I feel like both of these players really like Winston. I mean, Muma's Reinhardt's really good, and same with Orisa, but I feel like Winston is where they kind of look the best.
Yeah, I mean, Winston's a hero where your main tank actually gets to play the game for themselves instead of just being like a robot that supports their team, which is pretty much what Ryan does.
Yeah, I mean,
Except for, 5% of the game when you get to swing.
yeah, Gesture there really pops off on Route 66. So going into a final map, tiebreaker map, what are the feelings? Is the pressure a little bit higher?
I think we probably expected to lose Route 66, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think we probably, or I mean, not expected, but I don't think we're exactly off our game from it. I think we're probably just like, okay, let's go back to Koth. We know this is our best map type. We can for sure get a win here. So I think map 5 is never, you're never feeling too bad because it's map 5, right? That means you won 2 maps, right? Like,
50-50 chance.
So it means you're even. So I mean, if you have any bit of competitor's mindset, of course you're going to believe absolutely that you're gonna get the win in the tiebreaker. So I think it always feels good going tiebreaker, but you know that the other team has the same effect.
Right, well, we'll see that map 5 right after this break. London versus the Houston Outlaws. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Overwatch League Rewind here, and we got a Game 5 on our hands between the Houston Outlaws and the London Spitfire. This is from Stage 2, Week 1. You guys, Houston Outlaws, very successful against the London Spitfire, undefeated against them in the regular season. How are you guys able to beat them so many times?
The thing is, it's just such a, I think part of it is that we scrimmed each other so much.
Oh, okay.
So we coming out on top every time in the regular season, I think was I mean, not a fluke, but we definitely were a close team in scrims. We didn't ever feel like it was an easy match. So I think that was probably part of it. We came into it feeling like we could win, but we'd have to play really well and like staying focused even if things went bad. So in that sense, like no matter how the match went, we were still going to be playing well and we were still going to have a road to victory. But I mean, I feel like there were more than one Game 5 against London.
Do you feel you just matched up well with them?
Potentially. I think I knew that they didn't like playing against Junkrat, so I had the mental, I had the strength of will to force Junkrat constantly.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Which was a lot of fun.
There's not many people who enjoy playing against the Junkrat.
Yeah,
And especially like I remember one game against Seoul Dynasty, where, you were like up in the rafters on like point B on Horizon Lunar Colony.
Oh,
Like
that's my favorite spot.
they like barely even, they like barely even attacked. It was just like they just kept running in the doors, just blowing up. It's not fun.
I mean, maybe for them.
Yeah,
I had a great time.
It's fun for someone.
Being basically unkillable.
You guys notoriously still struggle a little bit in map 5s. Is there any rhyme or reason to that, you think? Do you just not like control, or?
I mean, I think this season, we're just,
This season just
we're losing a lot.
Nothing's
I don't
going
think
great.
map 5s are that particularly important.
You're on the come up though. You said you guys were gonna go undefeated in stage 2, right?
I mean, we'll need to, right? That's our playoff dream.
That
so-
would be incredible.
Explain this to me though, because it's still one of my pet peeves, and I
Yeah.
wonder why teams do it. Of like, so London just give up the point for free. They just got off the point, and you guys captured it. Like no kills, no deaths, no fights.
I killed Hargo.
Yeah, but they were still like milling around the point, and they just decided not to get on it and left.
Yeah, but if you have no Zen and if you don't immediately get a counter kill, you shouldn't fight. Your odds of winning are like.
Especially
London
when,
does this even when they win fights, they don't get on the point.
I mean,
yeah, they
yeah, but
Oh,
if you
the
fight there,
sniper.
I guess.
if you fight there, you feed a lot of ults. Instead of just having pulse bomb, I'd have a lot more than pulse bomb.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll talk about it again next stage, because it's a different scenario, and they still do the same thing.
well, it's like it's
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to other matches.
it's kind of difficult because like you lose
it's
so
this
much of your he's saying like the next stage of the map. You lose so much of your damage output with the Zen,
Yeah.
and especially when the other team is running like the one-shot potential of Widowmaker with the Mercy pocket.
No,
like
this
what?
one's not
Like,
as egregious, but I think the next stage, they like win the fight and still lose the point. And that just blows my mind.
I think it was a tough trade-off though when people were playing 2-2-2, because if you play Zen and Lucio, your healing output is very low.
Yeah, I mean,
For
down
London
there,
overall. So you basically have to capitalize off of Discord Orb on the dive,
Yeah,
otherwise you just can't
exactly,
out-sustain against
No,
the
I mean,
Mercy.
no, looking at it now, like that fight makes more sense. But like I said, we'll take a look at it a
I
little
think
bit.
in general, Zen.
Linkster just had no idea he was
If you
there.
lose a Zen, there's just no real chance to come back. The hero,
Yeah.
so like unless you counter kill quickly, Zen is. If you play Zen, your whole team has to protect him and keep him alive.
Yeah.
If you fail at that fundamental job, then realistically the hero is like you're gonna get destroyed.
I love that Rocket just reses right into Link's face. It's a power.
It's pretty hard to, I mean, as a solo Genji, actually killing Mercy while she like kind of juggles around in the air with resing,
Yeah.
it's like you're not gonna hit every headshot.
No, I know, but it just looks cool.
so interesting to see like dive being played on this point.
Well, I just like it because I feel like
Yeah.
the support choices in this stage in particular, because obviously it's after where everybody had to play Mercy in stage 1. Like you really do have to make trade-offs, right? Like you're either trying to play a sustained game or you're trying to play a very good target selection game, because you're just not going to have that same level of heal.
Yeah, because what Mercy gets buffed after this stage. Because remember, Mercy comes in with the double res stage 1.
Yes.
They go back to the single res here for, and I believe they lowered the. Did they lower the amount of time you were in Valkyrie, or did they lower the healing? One of the two.
They definitely did both.
And then they buffed one back up because then Mercy gets played like 24/7 again in stage 3, where Lucio goes away. Oh, you have this in, man. There you go.
It was low, but I think I had no blinks right when he pops blade. I like come back to my team right when he's blading. Oh crap! I should have ran to the pills. My bad.
You only need one fight here.
It's all right. You win this map anyway. So.
Well,
I mean,
we did say they were undefeated
went
against them, so
Yeah, there were some of our trivia questions might have given that one away.
yeah.
Women just got kind of on there looking for rival.
We just kind of stay. Yeah, he wanted to like prop
He had
primal.
primal.
Maybe,
He
but
wanted to like. He probably had like 1 second on jump, and he walked out too
he
early.
just kind of potatoed out on him.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though.
I think there's just the death animation is great. You just kind of like flop
Fall
forward,
over.
yeah.
Dude,
Okay,
you're
fuck
just,
it.
yeah, you're popping,
Hago's
you're popping off here.
Yeah.
Snap.
I think I stayed behind at the last fight, or I snuck behind them or something to kill Hago because I knew he was coming back from spawn.
I mean, that's clutch too, because he was so close to trance.
But I love killing Zen. That is mine. I mean, that's
Your
why Zen,
specialty.
you hear everybody talk about killing, like, how do you win after your Zen dies? That's why. Look, I know Hago died. This is why I'm coming back from him again. That's for real. That's what I'm thinking about right now, because I killed him so long ago. He's coming back.
If you could like Space Jam steal another player's powers in the league, who would you be?
What do you mean, another player's powers?
Like if you can
Like their skills on
yeah,
a
if
certain
you can
hero
take,
set?
Yeah, if you can take like another
I'd take
player's
Carpe's
power.
hit scan. That sounds
Yeah.
pretty good to me. I feel pretty good at projectiles.
Don't know if anyone will really argue that choice.
I feel like I'd be
That's a
pretty good
solid
at the
one.
game if I were as good as Carpe is at Widow and fucking McCree.
Yeah.
Oh, Hago got your back.
Oh yeah, I overflipped. I did it too many times.
Yeah,
Probably
you
knows.
went to the
At this
well
point, he
too
like
many
knows I'm
times.
coming. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we at least we get the flip. So even if we lose, we have you get one recontest here potentially.
This point always goes to like one fight that like decide. Like it's just such like the point is so large and it's so open that like you can just juggle it from so many locations, especially with Lucio in the mix. Like just like riding the walls up high. Like,
Yeah, it's not as bad as Oasis. Every stage of Oasis
Guard
feels
it.
like it goes 99-99. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the. I mean, Oasis is a very stall-heavy map. Part of the power of some maps is that it's just easy to contest point without dying. And this map, it's really. I feel like it's in Goatsman it seems to go pretty quick because people get thrown in the pit and
Yeah.
people die. But the in dive, it's so easy, like you said, to climb over all those walls and somebody's on a lighthouse, somebody's on
Yeah,
the cage,
people
whatever,
everywhere.
just poking and peeking.
People everywhere.
It's hard to take down the Winston just primaling and jumping back and forth across the world.
Who's the second most talkative player on your guys' team outside of you? Because it seems like when we always go to
Probably-
the shots of the stage, you're always going. But like, who else? Is
Probably
really kinda-
Boink talks
Boink,
a lot. Yeah, Boink has a ton of. I mean, Boink's like our main caller for like strategic stuff or like ultimate stuff, and then I usually call like the strategy after we have the ultimate. In
Really? Because I always hear Raucus talking when we listen on your call.
That is true. Rocket talks a lot too.
Right, so this is the one that I'm a little confused on. I didn't watch it too many times, but I believe London gets the very first kill here, and you guys just walk on the point and London never touches it.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so I said, like, just explain to me the positioning, and like, I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's like one of my pet peeves when I play is like, we win the fight and we don't get the point.
Right now, it's because Prophet has no cooldowns because he just got forced out. So if Prophet
Gesture
can't
at
touch.
least
Gesture just had
jump
to
to
jump
bounce
'cause he's
back
low.
up.
Fury comes to touch, but Fury gets also pushed really hard because Jester's not with him. So
Okay.
who really comes to contest there if it's not Gesture, Fury, or Prophet?
Yeah, they
everyone
both
else is
just
gonna
took too
die.
much.
I mean, that is a
It's a mistake from them to like get
Yeah.
poked out at that moment because they needed to be ready to contest. They should have maybe been more patient, but
Like that
that's
fight.
also why I'm in the back line to make them make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's also a fight where you see them kind of. Well, I think you just see like Gesture gets chunked down at the beginning, but because they're
Right.
playing Zen Lucio, there's no way to heal him back up. Where if they had, let's say, like if you played like Mercy Lucio here, like you could have just had him use the jump to go in with Fury. You probably take
Right.
the point there, 65.
Yeah, I just like to hear people's perspective.
Hey, oh yeah, I was gonna shout out that stat. But you have 5 more final blows.
I got more frags than him. I'm actually
That's
just,
all that
I'm
matters at
solo
the end of the
killing
day.
people. He's shooting tanks, I'm getting the solo kills. I'll take it.
Just farming Hagos. He's coming out of the spawn.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably having nightmares about this one.
yeah, I mean, this is like probably the most important thing to be doing on Tracer is the nice eat from Matt.
Yeah.
And the most important thing to be doing on Tracer is like trying to get on the back line so that they can't play the game optimally.
It was always one of my favorite like little mini games within the game is like the Zenyatta versus the Tracer. In some sense would just punch constantly. You could never kill him.
Do you always try and save
Actually, I
at least
remember I
one
beat
blink?
Prophet in a 1v1 there. I was like, holy crap, we're winning this.
I can
Let's
play
go.
I was doing it.
Doing it for real.
Ah, get the camera!
Because generally,
What
I
drop
do
it?
like this is like after like a week or two playing Tracer, I wasn't like forcing 1v1s with Overwatch League players playing Tracer. I have no experience.
You're
with
trying to
the
pick
character.
spots.
I was just trying to play like the game well overall and not do things like that. Look off the map and have to recall. But I should have done a point there too.
Do you always try and save at least one blink?
No, I mean,
Or you just
no,
kinda-
sometimes you need your last blink.
Yeah.
You gotta just ride the lightning, ride the edge.
All right. So just take it all the way down to the end.
That's what I get to say to people next time I triple blink and die. I'm like, ah, just ride the lightning. Jake told me I had to ride the lightning.
It's like what you say, you got 2 HP, that's one more than you need.
they're in a weird spot because they're like just kind of like playing out here in the
Yeah, they're playing very defensive. I'm kind of surprised they let us take our own high ground so easily. And they're getting punished heavily.
They like let themselves get chunked down standing behind the pillar in the open and then rotated to meet you guys on the point when you guys are much healthier.
I think the struggle for them there was that Bird Ring was not on high ground and our soldier was. So they feel like they could fight outside. So it ends up going really well for them because they preserve their resources. So even though we mech Fury, he just pops bombs, so it's not actually a really good D-mech because it still gets resuited. And they punish us for it. So I think they're actually baiting Fury there and intentionally, like, they want us to mech him. Honestly, I think he could have one-clipped me there. He just
you win these. Oh no.
He blinked away, but I think he could have easily one-clipped me there.
Yeah. It's got to be scary.
A lot of nerves coming in.
Yeah.
You know, final map, final moments.
Oh, you trans as well. I guess you force out barrier by using trance, so now you can come back
Well, they use trance because of Bird Ring's attack visor.
But even if they lose this fight, I guess they do have sound barrier coming back. Or they'll get, well, actually, no, they're about to get to 90. This is not.
Yeah, I mean, but this is a one-fight scenario for us. We have 84, which means they don't get a real fight if we cap. So it's basically one fight to win. So we're just trying to set it up. I think we wanted to win that last fight, but maybe they had a support ulti we weren't expecting.
Yeah, they popped sound barrier pretty late.
You know, Prophet doing his best to just refuse to let this team lose, as always.
He just controls that whole side of the map.
Matt had a really good stage right here.
Primal comes in here, but he's going to get focused. I think this is maybe a small mistake. Maybe they contested like a little tiny bit too early here. Because I'm just sitting behind them shooting people in the back in this match. Like, because they're able to be, because like, you see my whole team on point? I'm just sitting right behind them. I'm eating their mega so they can't eat it. And then I'm just coming in for their backliners one after another. And because we were waiting on point, then they're just kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, and you have Primal here.
This is not looking super winnable for them. I mean, they have their best thing is Hago's close, right, to Trance. But at this point, like, they're down. Fury has to just feed just a touch just to even keep the game going, and then is primaling their Trance to force.
Yep. They need a miracle, and they're not even close to getting.
No, yeah. What are the moments like this like? Is everybody just screaming in the comms?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically just calling targets. The best thing you can do with this situation is call targets. So you just call the name of the character you're shooting, and you try and get everyone damage on the same guy. So, you know, you're just calling whoever's on point, Lucio, Zen in the corner. Or sometimes if you see a teammate, if you see an enemy right behind a teammate, you tell them. Be like, Matt, behind you, Winston, he's low. And like that call is so useful because it's basically a free kill for your teammate.
So wild in Overwatch. There's so many things you could possibly call out. That's some hype right there. Bringing the thunder.
Feeling good, man.
Right.
I mean,
that's a big belly cam there or somebody. Yeah. That's feel good though.
Standing up on the player POV can.
Well, I think this must have been fun for you guys because you're getting that revenge from the stage 1 playoffs.
Yeah, after we lost playoffs. And then especially, I think for me, I was very uncomfortable on Tracer, so I was very happy to get a win and play a decent series.
You just go back and
I mean,
watch
you really
the pod.
popped off on the Tracer on Ilya. It's like, it's a good map for you.
1v1 Prophet.
We got those Tracer
time.
stats for you. Whoa. You're popping off.
First healing at 46. Huh?
That's actually that's a huge
enormous.
stat. That's a huge stat right there.
Yeah, it's definitely a good map for me.
I'm actually most impressed with only 6 stats.
Do you pick up
You
like
say that, that's the hardest part about playing Tracer at Overwatch League levels, not dying.
Do you pick up games pretty quick in general?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life I've picked up games pretty quick. So when I play a new hero, it's like I still follow the same process that I've followed before to learn games. It's just very systematic. It's all about breaking things down to their simplest components and just understanding them at the base.
Playing a ton.
Playing a ton certainly is a part of the process.
Yeah, but you know the Outlaws undefeated against London, regular season last year, and they go on to win the whole thing. That had to.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this before, but like I think that had the Outlaws actually made playoffs, because you guys were so close, you're basically like 1 match away from replacing Philly. Considering the meta, which I think would have been amazing for you guys if you look at like the Zarya with Hanzo, Orisa, Roadhog that we saw very heavily factor into the stage playoffs, or the season playoffs. I think it's really conceivable that you guys could have made the finals against London.
Yeah, I think definitely we could have gone far in playoffs. It was a favorable meta for us. It kind of circled all the way back around to something kind of close to stage 1 that we were so good on. So I think definitely a shame, but you know, you gotta do better in the regular season. Gotta earn it. Gotta earn
Is there
the
something
chance.
you learned, I guess, from that first season, just in general?
I mean, I think it's just remembering that, you know, no matter what, like truly every map counts, right? If we had a couple more map wins, we would have, you know, clinched.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
literally like
I think
you've
it
played
two
Philly
maps,
to like,
something like that.
gain.
And we
game
lost to
5.
Philly like a bunch of times,
In
right?
game
So if we had
5,
just beaten
like if
Philly
you just
like
beat them
one
once,
time,
you would have
yeah,
been in their
yeah.
slot
So,
in the season playoffs. That really.
That's nice. But you know, you never know, right? You never know. Will we have won the matches they won in playoffs? Maybe we wouldn't have. So, but I mean, I don't like to think about hypotheticals too much. My main focus is we didn't make playoffs.
It's about looking forward. Let's not dwell in the past.
Well, rather than thinking about like who did make playoffs and worrying about that, it's more like just for your own. I feel like you should not worry about what other people do and their performance.
You know, about looking forward, you know, it's a broad question, but how do you guys turn this season around?
Yeah. What about this year?
It's been tough. Like you have 3 wins on the board. It's not. You're not out mathematically. How do you turn it around?
I mean, if I had a good answer, we wouldn't be in this position, right?
Yeah.
Like if we had the answer to how to win more games, I wouldn't be here in the first place, or we wouldn't be at the record we're at.
Is the goal just to get above the red line to make it into the 7-12?
Yeah.
'Cause then you get
Look,
the
you're
play-in,
only
right?
4 wins behind.
I mean,
the
yeah.
cutoff.
I mean that, like, looking at it as the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
realistically,
brutal,
like,
but
we're just looking to make plans is like reasonable. I mean, like expecting yourself to have a 100% win rate from here on out is pretty insane. So you know, you want to keep your expectations realistic. But I think the biggest thing I learned from last season is that it's not about where you're at or where you think you're going. It's about match.
Well, almost
So-
making the
one at a time.
play-ins is even making it further than last year, right? Because if you get to the play-ins,
Well, and that's the thing about the play-ins too, is like if you get yourself back up to like 50% and you get into that 12th spot, if you get back to 50%, you're going to be on a major hot streak, which means you can really conceivably like ride that hot streak through the playoffs too. So I mean, it's still definitely doable.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and as long as until you're mathematically eliminated, even if you were mathematically eliminated, I feel like as a professional, you know, it's just about taking that one game at a time and still, you know, giving it your all every time you go up there. And I think for me, it's become something where it's not about really like the long-term results of like whether we'll win a championship or not. Just like you know, just doing your job the right way for your teammates. You know, when you go out there, I'm playing for my teammates more than I'm playing for anybody else.
that's a good way to think about it. I never do that with my teammates.
No, I
usually-
played with you. I'm aware.
I'm usually out there just playing for myself.
I think everybody in Comp Q could take a valuable lesson from you.
Yeah, everybody could listen to Jake. Probably not the way I play. But
Model behavior and
yeah, no, I am not the model of the behavior of how you should play the game. But Stage 3 is kicking off next week. We got the Shock versus the Reign. That'll be the first match of Stage 3. It'll be an exciting one. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you guys next week for the start of the Overwatch's Stage 3